unless I've made a monumental mess up, which is entirely possible, I believe we are live. Hello, two people watching, and welcome to this live stream of They Are Billions. I'm going to be doing the campaign, which has dropped quite recently on Apocalypse mode. It's going to be a bit weird for me trying to narrate as well as play the game at the same time, but let's just give it a crack and see what happens. Yeah, I imagine most people that watch this will probably watch it after the fact rather than actually be present here, but I wanted to do this because it was a way to go through games which are a bit non-linear, unlike walkthroughs and stuff. It allows me to play games and have fun with it. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? I'm not going to be doing any of these kind of crazy no-pause runs. I'm not nearly that Asian. But we are going to be going through on Apocalypse and doing our best not to die. So let's get this started.
It was more than 2 centuries ago when those humans sowed the seeds of their own destruction and left us with a legacy of terror. For all of them are now the monsters of our nightmares. How ironic that they ended up like this. I am Quintus Crane, your leader, your savior. I founded the new empire and the city that now shelters you. And now, the time has come to no longer live hidden like rats behind the walls of the Great Crater. It's time to face our monsters. Time to go out into the world and reconquer it for the glory of humankind, for the glory of the new empire. Welcome. So you want to be the new general to lead the reconquering campaign? Well, I warn you, my young general, your mission won't be an easy one. How many attempts have there been so far? 10? 12? All your predecessors are dead or have gone mad. Do you really think you can do better than them? Okay, I'll give you a chance. Listen carefully. Our goal is to build new colonies in strategic locations to expand the empire beyond the Great Crater. I also want you to explore the ancient human strongholds and retrieve any technology from before the pandemic. We will use that to build more powerful colonies. You may also find swarms blocking your way. Destroy them with the might of the Empire's army. But be warned, failure is not an option. Succeed in your mission or never return.
Yeah, some of the dialogue in the cinematics here seem a little bit stilted. It might be, and don't quote me on this, but I'm fairly certain that the developers of this game are actually they're from Spain, I believe, or they speak Spanish, so English isn't their first language, and I think the translations can sometimes be a bit... Right, you have to choose between Kalis and Calliope, and to annoy all the people who want a waifu, I'm going to go for Kalis, actually. I've played this a little bit before on Nightmare, so I've got a general idea of what I'm doing. I have none of that. Apocalypse. Right, Hidden Valley. Oh, okay. Whatever. Right, let's get started. Nice and easy. We don't have anything to build. We don't have any points to spend. Just make our colony with very little. We have a hand, but we're just rangers, I'm pretty certain. Although I get the impression if you're a bit complacent, it's going to catch you off guard. I'm fairly certain the end wave that comes is going to be pretty significant. Alright, so let's get you going over there, you up here because that's where they come from. Press F4 so we can see what we're building, and I apologise to anyone that's going to piss off because it's not particularly aesthetic. Right. Unlike in other games, you can always pause this one. Yeah, when they were talking about the development of They Are Billions, they were saying how they didn't want a game that was based on clicks per minute, not one where it's, you know, all about these Korean reactions clicking all over the place, doing all kinds of stuff, which I appreciate. I mean, I'm a big fan of Total War games. I like something where you can actually think, whereas a lot of strategy games, because shit's going on so quickly, it is again just a test of skill rather than strategy. I'll leave it on there just for a second for anyone who, I mean, I imagine most people that are going to be watching this have probably played this game before and want to go through it, but for those of you that haven't, I'll leave it on there for a couple of seconds. I ain't reading out. I ain't reading out. Right, what we want to try and do is make a beeline for that stone so we can get a soldier centre up ASAP. For the time being, we'll just build a few tents and get a little bit of gold income. I'll probably want to get a couple of soldier centres up just to really start spunking them out. What are you doing?
A new task.
So yeah, we want to constantly be having them shooting. We don't want to have any downtime with them.
Attention. Building completed.
Are you sure?
Units under attack.
Faster than my bow.
Building complete.
Let me put
It's probably not the most efficient to have that ranger up there, but
straight to the heart.
I would rather be safe than sorry, lose a little bit of DPS to make sure that none of them are going to come through this point. Because at least that way, once I know this area is cleared, then I can just push up. I don't have to worry about them.
Oh, here we go again.
You need to be shooting, you need to be doing stuff.
You again.
I'm going to try not to pause too much, especially on these earlier levels, because I don't really think you're going to need it that much. I'm not promising I'm not going to do it at all, and especially when you get later up, this is going to be paused a lot. I'll do my best. I ain't promising nothing.
Attention. Building completed.
Yep, get the energy across.
You again. Yeah.
And we're fortunate enough they give us a little bit of stone to get us started a bit quick. I'm going to take it up, and then we're just going to have a little scout round.
What do you want now?
Just to make sure there's no zombies hiding anywhere nearby, because if just one of them get into a tent, it starts a chain reaction and you get fucked very quickly.
You are gonna pay me
So
for
that
this,
all
right?
seems clear.
Yes.
All good.
The train has
Okay.
arrived at the
Move
station.
up.
Oh, here we go again.
Attention. Building completed.
Gotcha.
I really should have built a sawmill before I pushed it there, shouldn't I? I'm already noobing it up. Right, it's fine. It's fine. First level. Ain't gonna screw us over that bad.
Attention. Building completed.
But yeah, it was not the smartest build order.
More ordnance. Okay. Gotcha.
But you know, I'm aware that I'm terrible, and self-knowledge is knowledge.
Building completed.
Right. There's a little bit of food there, that'll be nice if we can nab. Come on, come on. Yay. In fact, we won't build anything more because we want to get that. I know there's no point, is there? Because okay, don't build any more Tesla coils because we want to save the wood, but everything else I think will be fine.
Our soldiers are in trouble.
More ordnance.
The
How
train
much is the
has
solar
arrived
center
at the
use up
station.
in terms of energy? 6. Okay, don't build anything else until we start getting that up.
Roger that.
Attention. Building completed. Attention. Building completed.
What?
Alright, for
Gotcha.
for those of you who don't know what They Are Billions is, it's a small, I'd say Indian, small indie game developed by New Mountain Games,
Great.
and it's pretty good. It just came out of
What do
early
you want
access
now?
a couple weeks back now,
My bow is ready.
and
This better be
it was
good.
one of those when I first saw it, I was like, ugh,
A new
strategy
task.
with zombies, are you not done with zombies yet? And people started doing what they often do and going, oh, it's like the Dark Souls of strategy games, which is, you know, way of saying, oh, it's a very difficult, challenging, but fair strategy
Our
game.
forces are in
Because
danger.
This
people
better be
forget
good.
that there were hard games before
Gotcha.
Dark Souls. You had, like the original Mario. The original Mario, people forget, was brutal. But it was challenging, and it didn't hold your hands, and it got kind of a cult following, I think. I'm not sure if cult following is the right word. It's not been out long enough to be a cult. I'm pretty sure cult refers to something that's like a, when you say cult classic, you think of like Red Dwarf and Blackadder, don't you? So it means a bit older. I'll have to Google the definition of cult. But it got a pretty loyal, perhaps that's a better word, following quite quickly. And for good reason. It's a good challenging game with a lot of depth. They're still tweaking it every now and then. From what I've played of the campaign so far, from what I played from what I played the campaign so far, there's some problems. It's not perfect, but there's a lot more going right than there is going wrong. So I like it, and I have no problem supporting it. I have a positive Steam review of it. I know it got kind of, I don't want to say review bombed, because it's not, things don't get, oh, people are just being mean and review bombing it. No, that if someone's giving it a bad review, there's usually a reason for it. And a lot of people were dissatisfied with the campaign because there were problems with it. And there was some other stuff going on with Steam before. I ain't gonna get into that. But you know, there were some people that were dissatisfied with it and aired that dissatisfaction through giving it negative reviews. But it's not perfect, but considering the size of the team, considering the amount of fun you get out of it, I would definitely recommend it to anyone who is into this kind of game.
You are gonna pay me for this, right?
Okay, so push those in. And it's one of those where it's very much never get confident, never get complacent. Because like, oh, everything's going great, oh my god, that's 10,000 zombies, and you get fucked. It's one of those that really, it's a game that really punishes overconfidence, and I guess that's where the Dark Souls comparison comes from.
Faster than my bow.
But yeah, it's good, and I decided to stream it because I would have loved to have done a walkthrough for it, but the main campaign is like 40 hours, and you can choose which different routes you take, and I just didn't think that was going to be feasible for a walkthrough type format, anything that is non-linear. So I was like, alright, we'll do this instead. And hopefully the stream's actually going to work. I've been testing so much of it, and dear god, I didn't realise how incompetent I am with technology. Like, bafflingly incompetent. It's like, I know all the tech stuff. No.
Straight to the heart.
I'm quite a bit behind getting the soldier center up. I've not played this particularly well,
My
but
bow is
this bit's
ready.
cleared out. Yeah, like, you should never be doing this. Never having resources fill up like I've let happen
Taste
because
my
I've messed up my build order.
Okay. Let me put an arrow
That's what
in
we
his head.
call a
Sounds
new
interesting.
move.
It could be worse.
I want to get that soldier center up ASAP. There you go, and then just start. 5 days in. That's not good. That wasn't good. Alright, just get this up and start spunking out rangers ASAP. I need quite a few of them.
What? Faster than my bow.
I'm starting to come across a few runners up there. That's fine.
Right between the eyes.
Actually, this is why I need to pause. My brain is incapable of
Units under attack.
keeping track of so many things at the same time. I don't work that fast.
Station.
Okay.
Okay. So what we're going to try and do is every time we have stone for another, also it makes it quite easier. Every time we have stone for another soldier center, we're going to put one up because we just need a lot of soldiers for this. We don't need to worry about fancy buildings or fancy designs or anything else. Just lots and lots of soldiers.
You are gonna pay me for this,
So
right?
what we're going to do, we're going to keep one back while they clear because some of them are undoubtedly going to try and come across from the bridge. And I don't want to give them some tasty hot snacks if I can at all help it.
Straight to the heart.
Attention.
Let me
Building
put an arrow
completed.
in his head. Yeah.
Our
Roger
soldiers
that.
are in trouble.
Faster.
Faster
this
than
back a
my
little bit.
bow.
So you can...
What? Taste my
They,
arrows.
it seems to be when they brought the campaign out that they changed how some of their hit detection worked. Before, if a zombie, or infected I should say, like 28 days later, if an infected was doing an attack animation, Jade Hollock, I'm cracked with this game but I definitely enjoy the challenge. Yay, soldier center being built, how many soldiers should you make for the first wave? Never stop making them. Never stop making them. The workers you don't have to use for
You are
anything
gonna pay me
else,
for this, right?
so
Right between
just
the
any
eyes.
workers that you have left over, just have. I did play Apocalypse a bit before. It depends how many walls you have, but if you want to be safe, at least 30, I would say. More obviously being better. If I can get 50, I will try and get 50.
My bow is ready.
Attention.
Straight to
Building
the heart.
completed.
Okay. Yeah, it is a very challenging game. I've been trying to peddle it onto a lot of my friends, and I know one of my friends in particular is just like, no, it's too stressful. I want to watch people play it. I don't want to play it myself because I'm gonna get heart palpitations.
You are gonna pay me for this, right?
So yeah, it's
My bow and arrows
it
are
is
ready.
weirdly cathartic, I have to admit, watching other people.
Yeah.
So I played this quite a bit, and then one of my favourite streamers, a guy called Harmful Opinions, started
This
streaming it.
better be good.
And as you can imagine, he'd never played it before. He wasn't particularly good, but just it's almost like when you watch a really bad movie or you watch a horror movie or something, and you know it's shit, but you're just staring at the person who hasn't yet experienced that it's shit, and you're just waiting for the penny to drop with them. And it's the same with Dark Souls, is that I get so much enjoyment out of forcing other people to play Dark Souls. It's like, yes, you're going to get up to this boss, he's going to absolutely murk you, and I'm going to love watching it kill someone else for a change.
Yes, tell me.
Okay, shouldn't be letting her get
Building
hit.
completed.
The Rangers do tend to heal quite quickly, so you can get them to tank a couple of shots, pull them back, and then they'll regenerate. The soldiers that you get later on are definitely a lot better for that, and rotating them around is a good way of spreading the damage out. So you basically use your soldiers as a form of human wall. You just don't let them take one out. It takes a lot more time to train one than it does just to heal up.
Faster than my bow.
I'm going to stick these on high
My
priority as
bow and
well.
arrows are ready.
7 days, 16. I am not as far through as I would like to be. I'm a bit behind. But hopefully we can make up some time.
Attention. Building completed.
If we can get a gate across there, because I'm pretty certain there's going to be at least a mini wave coming.
Okay, let me put an
But
arrow
I'd
in
like
his
to be
head.
able to focus all of my effort onto just one
Faster than
side.
my bow.
Because
My bow
Units
and
under
me saying you don't
arrows
need to spend works anything other than Rangers, they run out of workers, I'm great. Let's cancel this one. Just while we get that up. And just run down more tents. I spend a lot of time on the forums of it because there are a lot of people who get into it and they tend to struggle. And naturally, and I'm completely guilty of this as well. It's like, oh, I'm really struggling at this, how do I do it? And the responses that I have at least once been a part of is just get good. If I could give any advice to anyone who's just starting out or just playing this kind of thing, just build tents everywhere. The way it's balanced is that space comes at a premium, and a lot of people try to rush the higher techs. Like rather than having lots of tents, they want to have stone houses, they want to have wooden houses. Which isn't a problem with the campaign because we haven't got them unlocked yet. But if you're playing on like a survival, they'll try to rush the higher tech. The way it works generally is that the lower tech buildings are almost always more efficient for resources, but the higher tech are more efficient in terms of the fact that they use up less space. So it's one of those where you want to build lots of low tier buildings unless there is no space, at which point it's all about high tier ones. Right, so we need to get a bit more gold. In fact, we cancel a couple of these. How much does Soldier Center? 450. Mother fudger. Right, get two lined up just in case I forget one. And we'll get the second one. Fortunately, we don't. At least we don't have to worry about food on this one. With other ones. With later missions, let me actually use words that have meaning. The higher tier units will use up farms, which means that although you want to spend all your farms on having more tents, more housing to build up your base, build up your economy, if you use it all up, you then suddenly get into a situation. I fucking knew there'd be some sneaky bastards coming through. You're then in a situation where you don't have anything to use a soldier, so something from a little bit of a surplus. The Rangers ain't got to worry about that. They don't use up like they're anorexic. I'm assuming that's the in-game lore. They're anorexic fots, and that's why they don't eat food. No, not for balancing reasons. It's definitely that they're all bulimia recoverings and now have anorexia.
What?
Right.
Any infected around? Okay.
And usually the final wave will come from this area, so I want to build a couple of lines across there to put them in. So we clear this place out, and then hopefully we'll have enough that we can just steamroll across the north.
This better be good.
They are attacking the colony defenses.
Oh, that's new actually. They seem to have changed it. Whenever something's being attacked, it starts blinking up down there. I'm pretty certain. Hey! Right. As I was saying before, before I got distracted with my pea brain, they seem to have changed the collision detection around. Before, if a zombie was doing the animation, then it counts as having connected. Whether or not the unit in that area, well, is still in that area or not. But they've changed it now that if you move them quick enough, they will whiff their attacks, which made the game so much easier. Because before, you could kite, but if you so much as brushed the side of a zombie, they would get hit. So you would have to leave quite a big gap to kite round.
My bow is ready.
Whereas now, even then when I mess up and accidentally click on someone so she stops for a second, she doesn't get hit, which makes it's a lot easier, which is probably also why on Apocalypse, from what I've heard, they basically doubled the amount of zombies. You come across just redonkulous amounts to make up for that fact. So kiting, especially in the early waves, I haven't played many survival maps admittedly since the campaign has dropped, but usually from what I was playing on before, unless they've changed it, the first wave, even if you, I think the last time I was doing it was at 500%, I haven't played the new 800% yet, you could deal with the first wave even on the desert map with just a lot of rangers, because you just have one to run around in circles, keep them busy, whilst everyone shoot away. I think that's probably also why zombie games are kind of popular, because you don't have to exactly design a particularly intelligent AI. Zombies aren't particularly intelligent, so it's really easy for small teams with limited resources to make a game where you don't have to worry about that. I mean, I say that they do have a certain amount of AI. The way that they attack in swarms to try and attack your base, and the way that pathfinding works is there is a bit of effort, quite a bit of effort actually put into that. But on the whole, I've used it.
walls are under attack.
And I do also wish, I think it's one that I've put up on the forums before, if you press the Alt key, you see the health bars, which is very useful. I very much wish there was just a toggle you could do. It's where someone tells me that, oh, there actually is a toggle, I'm just too stupid to figure it out. But as far as I'm aware, you can't toggle it, you have to hold the key down, or you have to wedge the key in with some kind of something. For a while I just had like some cotton buds stuck in to do it, but then
They
it
are trying to
kind of
break
messed my
through.
keyboard up,
You
so
are gonna pay me for
not
this,
doing that
right?
anymore. Okay, day 10 of 16.
Yeah.
We are a bit behind where I want it to be, but not anything I don't think we can't recover from.
Great. Oh,
Like, we're not going to lose this, but we're not going to do it as clean as I would have preferred. Let's get these up. Go for next.
you again. Yes.
Attention. Building completed. They are attacking the colony defenses.
A new task.
There's always something.
Yes, tell me. Be quick. What?
Alright, move them
The walls
down.
are under attack.
Wall's
You
gonna
are gonna
go,
pay me for this,
so
right?
get ready
What's
to do
up?
some
Any
cutting.
infected around? Yeah. What?
Obviously, did they clear it
Okay.
up? Well, there's still a
And
few
you
to
Our
take
go, but
defenses are being
Oh well.
attacked.
let's put this there. Get this.
What? Yes. Are you sure?
What's the betting there's going to be a single one that's just going to make a beeline for that?
Yes. I hope you're not wasting my
The
time.
train has arrived at the station.
My bow and arrows are ready.
There's,
You
yeah,
are
it'll
gonna
be
pay me
fine.
for
It'll
this,
be
right?
fine.
Attention.
You'll
Building
find
completed.
that you're often working against the clock quite a lot for this, which I appreciate. A lot of times when you have strategy games, you're going to struggle in the beginning, but once you start to get going, you tend to snowball, and then all the challenge is gone. Because this game has waves integrated in them, it constantly builds
They
up
are
the
trying to
level of
break
challenge you're
through.
up
Better
against,
be good.
which
Yes, tell me. But be quick. What?
which is good. It's
You are
it's
gonna
something I
pay
think
me
needs to
for
be
this, right?
implemented more.
Our
I know
forces
Total
are in
War has
danger.
started to do that.
Roger
So,
that.
I've been doing it for a while now, saying like we've only just started doing it. They did it with Medieval to an extent. Medieval Total War.
They are
Not so
attacking
much.
the
Probably more
colony
Shogun is the earliest example I know where
You are gonna pay me for
the
this,
early
right?
game is hard, and then you start to gain a foothold, and then something called Realm Divide happens,
It's better
where
be
you
good.
try to
Okay.
overtake the shogunate throne, and as a result, everyone turns against you. So it's almost like that's like the second wind, because you have the first part, which is struggling to get a foothold and political intrigue and diplomacy, and then it's like, oh, okay, you've made it this far. Clearly, you know, you figured this out. Just throw everything at the wall at you until something sticks. Nice way to ramp it up, which I appreciate. I'm very much
arrived at the station.
a challenge
Building completed.
gamer. Like
You are gonna pay me for this, right? You call that
I
a plan?
obviously you can put self-imposed challenge like with this. People put no pause runs because they're mad. I like instructions. I like to be given a game where, okay, we're gonna put a very specific challenge in this, and it is your objective to overcome said challenge. And I get a lot of enjoyment out of that. I'm not sure if frustrated is necessarily the right word, but I get a bit deflated when there's games that are just too easy,
Yeah.
because then I find the harder something is, the more I learn its mechanics, because you need to. There's a PlayStation 2, I'm just rambling by the way, so
You again.
probably what was going to happen.
My bow
You get to
and arrows
enjoy
are
my,
gonna cost you double.
like,
Attention.
stream of
Building
thoughts,
completed.
adjective. There was an adjective that was meant to be inserted there.
Attention.
There was a game on PS2 called Gun, which was, that was around about the time when I first started like playing games on harder difficulties, because before then I just played them for fun, and then I just got into the hankering of wanting more of a challenge, and that was the first one I played on the high difficulties, and I fucking loved Gun. It's was... when did it come out? It would have been like 2005. I remember after school I used to get picked up by my grandparents. And he had a PlayStation 2. And he didn't care about the age rating, so I used to play Gun, I think like 2005, 2004. And for those of you unaware, Gun is basically PlayStation 2 Red Dead Redemption. Obviously it didn't have the multiplayer component, but it was very... I don't think it was made by Rockstar. I'd be very surprised if it was. But it's no, you're a cowboy in the West, you do side quests, you level up and stuff. And it was so much fun. They had some swearing, you know, as a little kid I fucking loved that, I thought it was great. And then I was like, I really like this game, I'm going to whack it on hard. And then you very quickly start to realise how the game developers haven't really tested it to work on that. Because in one of the final missions, you have to find through like a minecart, a mine area. And there's lots of assholes shooting with rifles, as you probably expect from the climax of the game. And there's no cover anywhere. There's no cover, and on that difficulty you die in like 2 or 3 shots. So it just becomes this unbelievably grueling nonsense of RNG of, okay, trying to shoot them before they can shoot you, trying to cheese the AI, trying to do anything you can to get past. So when a game like Dark Souls, I hate using it first. Yeah, when a game like Dark Souls comes along, which is genuinely difficult, but not just being cheap at throwing stuff, unlike Dark Souls 2, when something is genuinely gives you a challenge, and you can tell that a lot of thought was gone into shaping it. So not just the fact of it being cheap, but making a fun but fair challenge. It's something that I really appreciate. And it's a very hard balance to find, because when you first start playing this one, especially, it doesn't seem challenging but fair. It doesn't seem fair in the slightest. Like the first time you're going through it and you come against the first giant swarm and you're just looking at it going, how the fuck were you meant to deal with that? And it just slaps you in the face. And it's one of the complaints I certainly have with the campaign, is that a couple of the missions you don't really get much of a hint about what's coming beforehand. You just kind of expected to know. And it's why I played this before I wanted to do the live stream, to have a little bit of knowledge about what I'm going up against and what tanks to go for. I think they could have probably done a better job of explaining that certain techs will be practically mandatory, of explaining the sheer magnitude of some of them, because I spend a lot of time on the forums, and I noticed the same maps keep cropping up as having caught people completely off guard because they had no idea of what was coming. Because the game doesn't really choreograph it all that well. You have different difficulty ratings for different missions, and the difficulty ratings basically don't mean a fucking thing. There's a couple of difficulty level 2 maps that are harder than 3 and 4s. And like a lot of people are going, look, I don't mind having a hard game, but at least fucking balance it properly. Right, that's the map cleared with just over a day to go, so we're actually completely fine. Let's just use up the last of this food, and use up the last of this on fots. Always need more fots. Never have too many fots.
A new task.
Okay, 31. Yep, that's a healthy number. I would have liked a little bit more. You've still got a couple of days to pump it
A
up.
horde of infected are on their way.
There we go.
They are approaching from the north. Attention. Building completed.
I also want to point out the music for this game is phenomenal. I don't know who the composer is that they got for it, but you can find a lot of the music just on YouTube. And particularly there's a track, I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's a track that plays prior to the final wave that comes about, which is just beautiful. I didn't even notice because it's the whole idea of you're running out of time. In the background you can hear like a tick-tock of a clock. And I never even noticed it, but because it just kind of seems like part of the track, it just seems like kind of a metronome beat. And it's subtle but brilliant. And I wish more games did that rather than just the generic opera scores and whatnot, or after Inception came out, just everything has to have Inception bois, especially for movie trailers. Right.
Tell me, but be quick.
3 hours. So we have 2 walls out in front, another 2 walls behind, and then 2 more to fall back on, which should be more than enough. If things go wrong, we can always start deleting and building more walls, but I doubt we're going to need to. We've got 43 rangers, yes! Got 13 more than I said we'd
Here we
need.
go again.
It's not so important for rangers, but for other units, it's usually a good idea to have them on hold, because then it readies their weapon. And the aiming animation for a lot of units, especially something like the Lucifer, when you're trying to keep a constant stream going, is the animation that takes the longest. So if you have them ready, they'll start firing straight away, and it saves a lot of time. Less time wasted, more time killing. And yeah, that's a surprisingly large raid for level 1 on Apocalypse. But yeah, it's called Apocalypse for a reason.
My bow and arrows are ready.
But yes, this will hold no problem. Ugh, just out of range. Wait, what? Destroy the infected. Oh, for God's sake! There's like one wanker in the corner somewhere, isn't there? I've missed. That's really anticlimactic. There we go! There's always one. Right. First mission, done and dusted, no problem. Okay, and that unlocks 3. Now, the advice I would give to you is whenever you get the option to do a hero mission, do that one first. Whatever technology you're using isn't going to help you on a hero mission, and they tend to give quite a lot of research points and quite a lot of empire points. So when you have a situation like this, always go for the hero missions. Okay, so the last bunker. This obscure bunker must have been one of the last fortresses to fall. Although this bunker is small and easy to explore, do not deceive yourself, because a long time ago, we sent 2 soldiers to discover its secrets. They never returned. Yeah, some of the writing's a bit cringy. What would you expect? You play it for the gameplay, you don't play it for the story. What's the story? There's zombies everywhere, that's your story. Right. The tactical mission happens in old abandoned fortresses built several centuries ago. In these missions you use your hero to explore them to get technologies and valuable objects from that era. The hero has to fulfill the mission and get out of the fortress alive. The mission fails if the hero dies. You cannot leave the fortress until you have completed the mission. So no bailing, essentially.
Yes.
Right, now the main reason I wanted to pick Kalis over Calliope, and you can do it for both of them. The hero or any other unit can open doors by interacting on them with the right mouse button. These old doors, once opened, cannot be closed again. Be careful when opening doors because you will alert any potential enemies in the next room or hallway. Yeah, your hero decides to just slam them open.
Excellent.
But yeah, the main reason I picked Kalis over Calliope is he has a very slow firing rate, right? And as I was saying before, it's mostly the aiming. But
No
if you click,
for the human.
oh wow, I killed 2 bugs there. If you click at the end, just as he's firing, you can cancel the aiming animation and massively increases DPS. So for those of you who are probably going to start wondering why I don't immediately go for attack speed, which is what I did in my first playthrough, the fact that you can cancel that animation makes it a little bit redundant. It's still a lot of clearing and it would help. Like some of these missions are fucking tedious, but it's not vital in my eyes. While exploring, you will find interesting objects such as documents, manuals, valuable old objects that, by picking them up, will award you technology and empire points. Move the mouse cursor over the different objects you find. If the object lights up and the cursor changes, that means that the object is valuable and can be collected. To pick up any object, right-click on it. The total amount of technology and empire points available in the fortress are displayed in the bottom right corner of the user interface. Although you can leave the fortress without having found all the objects, it is always advisable to gain all the possible points of both empire and technology to help you in future missions. Now, this was a pain in the ass and something a lot of people complained about when the campaign first came out. At the moment, any objects that you can click on and light up will flash periodically. That never used to happen. They used to do it, I'm pretty sure there was actually a post on it as well, where if you play on the easier difficulties,
Sounds good.
they will flash periodically.
Yes.
If you play on the hard difficulties, they don't, and the idea was, you know, oh, you wanted a challenge, so you have to pixel hunt. During the mission, you will find many objects and structures in the fortresses, such as barriers and explosive barrels, that can be used to gain tactical advantage and move forward in the mission. Explore and interact with all the elements of the scenario and try different tactics to advance the mission. Yeah, and it was pixel hunting. It was finding Waldo, but instead of Waldo wearing a bright red shirt, you were finding a needle in a haystack. And some people were saying, look, we want a challenging game. We don't want a tedious game. This isn't a challenge. This is frustrating. And it's not, obviously it's not too bad on this mission because this one's quite a small one, but I spent 70 minutes in one and I could not find the last one. I just ended up giving up. So thankfully they retracted that and it now flashes for all difficulties. During missions, you may find allied units that will join the hero when he approaches them. Once the allies join the heroes, they can be controlled as normal. Only the hero can collect the valuable objects and interact with other objects such as medical kits, switches, mines, and automatic weapons.
Come on.
So we've got two handy meat shields to help us.
Anything more? What?
Okay.
For the humans! No fear. So glad to do it.
So yeah. So we can increase our attack speed, but dear God, is it going to give me carpal tunnel syndrome by the end of this stream? Okay, move those up.
Those heads are calling for a bullet.
I think this was the developer's way of trying to show you some of the units you can have.
Of course. Silent and
the hero missions, I have some issues with them. Like the early ones aren't too bad because you'll usually get units to help you or you'll have traps to help you, but some of the later ones are just absurdly tedious. Attention! Infection breach detected. Explosives have been used to contain them and do not enter under any circumstances. Okay, let's change them to high target. And you can pause on hero missions as well. You tend not to need to, because a lot of the time you are just controlling the one dude. Let's just try and animation cancel to get
for the Empire. No fear. So glad to do it. Great.
So yeah, Kalis actually has a slight AoE on his attacks, which you need because
I hope to become a general.
It's very unreliable. The initial AoE is so low that unless they are literally stacked on top of each other, it won't activate.
Let's kill the enemies of the Empire.
If you're doing as I'm doing and you're trying to manually click on them, if ever you have a small group of zombies, you'll want to aim for the center mass rather than the one in front because you're more likely to hit the other ones that way.
Become a general soon.
Okay,
For the humans.
So the sandbags slow down the zombies. They also slow down any friendly units you have. It's only the hero unit that doesn't get slowed down by the sandbags. They're there to help you kite in case you cock things up, but especially when you come across the chubbies, they're just, again, more tedious than challenging to deal with. Infected from the outside. Infected people can come from outside the fortress through collapsed walls and holes in the ground. When detecting human activity, more infected will continue appearing from these places. Do not try to kill all of them as they because they will not stop. That's a typing error. Do not try to kill all of them as they because they will not stop coming. Might need to tell about that one. You can tell it's a translation problem. Small team and all that. Get away from them as you can. Get away from them as you can and continue exploring the fortress. I'm gonna stop reading this because it's hurting my brain. Like, just the grammatical errors just hurts me. The grammatical errors. Ugh. Right, let's go.
Any orders? Nice.
It's a good game. Don't blame him just because some of the shit's spelled wrong. Like, I can't speak another language, so I can't picture anyone who perhaps doesn't speak English as well.
Orders, sir.
Me being a monolingual
For the
swine.
Empire.
I'm Duolingo. English and bad English.
Tricks up my sleeve.
$5 for whoever understands that reference. Right.
Begun.
Okay. Now you have to be a little careful when you come in here because the noise you make, there's quite a lot of them. And it is very easy to get overwhelmed if you're not careful. And we're not fortunate enough to have any grenades as of yet. We have 2 medkits, which are good because by some leap of logic, they heal everyone, not just you here, but they also heal the soldiers with you. And they do so instantly. So, again, I mean, you're going to be kiting a lot more than tanking in hero missions, but it's perfectly viable to rotate units out while different ones tank them to get the most out of the hit points. Not that I think we're going to need it for this one, but later on definitely. There's one with a couple of Lucifers that you come across that is absolutely useful. I wouldn't say mandatory, but definitely useful.
No problem. Any
Let's move
orders?
these 2 down.
For the Empire.
There's only a few left now. This is definitely an apocalypse, right? This seems too few.
For the Empire. Perfect.
I'm just used to this game screwing me over there. I'm just suspicious of it all the time.
The party has just
There's probably a
begun.
few hiding in the shadows.
So glad to do it. Let's go. So glad to do it. That's easy.
Alright, nice and easy.
Do you need me?
Let's send those 2 out and clear out any that come out while we try to hunt for these last items. I remember once before I spent half an hour and I had to have someone else come and point out that it was on the table the whole fucking time. Okay, it's flashing there. That's all the Empire points. So I have 30 research points, which I'm hoping will just be this. Yes, thank you. Right, nice and easy. 200 easy research points, 120 easy Empire points. Let's vamonos.
Nice.
I haven't gone through the whole game yet, so I don't understand all of the lore, but I have always been kind of curious if the infected in this game affects just humans or animals, because you see rats running around all the time, and you'd imagine they'd probably be scared of them, unless it's I'm trying to remember now. I think there was a game or some movie where they would specifically only go after humans. It's probably a few actually. But yeah, last bunker done, and that gives us a cool 370 research points. Now, later on you get just research points for you, but I find early on you have to be really specific about how you use them. Oh, we also got a newspaper article. Mega cities now house 99% of world population. That seems somewhat unbelievable, but okay. With growing world populations with more than 80 billion people. I'm assuming that this probably isn't Earth, but like alternate timeline Earth kind of thing. Under more than 80 billion people, modern technological advances have given rise to life in mega metropolises. A recent study conducted by the Mega York Urban Institute indicates that citizens feel safer and more satisfied living among larger communities. Attila Ernak, head of anthropology and human behaviour, goes on to say, "Never in the history of human civilization has there been an age as prosperous as today's." He attributes two factors to the steep influx of urban living. First, technological developments have given residents an increase in personal security, and second, living in cities, particularly city centres, offers an abundance of all the basic necessities of life: food, water and shelter. So yeah, I don't think this is based on Earth, or if it is based on Earth, it's based on some kind of like internet timeline, because I find it highly unlikely we're going to hit 80 billion by 2085. Right, it's going to be a lot, but not quite that much. Right, so we have the Crossroads, take out Village of Doom, and the Hunter's Meadow, build a large colony. Out of the two, I'm fairly certain the Crossroads I find easier. So we want to go for the Expert Workshop straight away, because we can only go for one. These are the first two researches you want to be going for. You want to be getting Farming and Range Attack plus 20. It's entirely possible to do... Which one do I go for? That means I don't have to expand. That one just... Let's go for the extra range of damage. And let's do the Crossroads. This Crossroads is an important strategic site that will allow you to expand to many new places. Our scouts have detected a Village of Doom northeast of the colony. Destroy it with your army to secure the area. The Villages of Doom are ancient human settlements built in remote places to escape the pandemic that ravaged the world. But those people underestimated the ability of the infected to follow every human trace, and finally fell victim to the pandemic. Now its ruined buildings shelter hundreds of infected waiting for any sign of activity around them to hunt new prey. Now, this is set in 2274, and I'm pretty sure the infected, or the big infection, or World War Z, or whatever you want to call it, happened a while ago. So does that mean the infected, once infected, won't decompose and last for like 100 years? I have to think into it because Hollywood doesn't. have you seen World War Z? Seriously, that movie gives me... It's one of those movies that would probably have just been entertaining if it wasn't called World War Z. The problem is World War Z is one of my all-time favourite novels, and just watching it get butchered the way it did just gives me conniptions.
Great. What do you want now?
Like, don't get me wrong, I like Brad Pitt as an actor. He's a fantastic actor. He's a handsome dude. Some homo. It's and I did like some of the scenes in it, the way that they're crawling up themselves, and it's almost like
here we go again.
They have no sense of self. They're almost like a hive mind, just climbing up to crawl over it. But that's what it was about. And permit me to go on a small rant about the many failings of that fucking movie. It's always quite funny watching the creator of the book talk about it. It's like, oh, it's super successful. They took everything from my title and nothing else. Now he's made a lot of money from it, so I suppose he can't be that annoyed. Then again, it did also butcher his baby. One thing that really bugs me about the movie is that in the novel they stress of, you know, how can this pandemic spread? And if you've seen 28 Days Later, for instance, that's an infection. You have running zombies, or running infected, sorry. They're not technically zombies, although they totally are.
Oh, more orders.
Sorry, I should actually talk about the game real quick before I go back on my tangent. The reason we wanted to take the 20% damage upgrade for the Rangers and why it's so useful is, one, we're always starting with Rangers. It's going to be useful for every map, and In this game, the early game is always the most important, because if you can get the early game started, you start to snowball. A small advantage in the early game, but if you're doing a mission where there's going to be a horde at like day 40, a small advantage early is going to add up to a massive one later down the line, because oh, you get that tent up a day earlier, you get the soldier tent up a day earlier, you get the few things just one day earlier, and that means oh, you bring it in quicker, so you get this up earlier, you get this up earlier, and it has a knock-on snowball effect. The damage upgrade is probably more than 20% in a lot of the cases. For a lot of the early game, you're going to have just a metric fuck ton of these infected, decrepit, the youngs, the slow ones. And they have 35 hit points. If you haven't upgraded the ranger with the 20+ damage upgrade, it takes 4 shots of a non-veteran ranger to take down one of these. If you have got that 20% upgrade, it goes from being 4 shots to 3. And because you're making a whole one less shot, it's, how do I word it? I'm trying to find the right words. Because you're wasting so much damage on overkill, the amount of time you save from having to go from 4 shots to 3 is greater than 20%. So although it's saying 20%, you're killing things. I mean, it depends on what you're fighting. If something has a big larger health pool, then it's going to be close to 20%. But if you were just falling short and it suddenly now has that overkill, it's going to be more than a 20% increase in speed. It's going to get up more to like 33%. I haven't done all of the figures, and different things have, you know, you have, especially some of the other effects, they start to have armor and everything. It's a bit more complicated, but basically the 20% increase is the minimum you get. Most of the time it's more than that, so it has a huge knock-on effect, and it's also the reason why we can do the first walker swarms with just rangers. You might be able to do without it, but I know it's guaranteed with them. So that's why we go for that one first. The farm is very useful as well, but we can make do for at least the first mission without it, so we're going to leave that one second. But the ranger upgrade is probably the most important upgrade to go for. I know a lot of people skip over, it's like, oh, it's just rangers, we're going to have to get better units. It's like, no, you always start with rangers. And if you're playing on the harder difficulties, because of the increased alert, I mean, look at this ranger's pulled 6, which has a fucking bow. If you start using soldiers, and it's also why I wouldn't recommend you go for the mercenaries level 2 or 3. If you fire a sniper shot early on the harder levels of Apocalypse, you are suddenly going to pull half the map, and that sniper's going to get you killed. So it's fine to go for the extra ranger early. I mean, it's a bit steep at 100 research points, but it does have use. But rangers are the most important unit in the game. Any buff to the most important unit in the game is going to be massively useful. Right, that's over. Yes, World War Z and how Hollywood destroys everything that we love and hold dear. In the book, I think the author is Max Brooks, if I'm not mistaken. He labours the point of how a zombie apocalypse could have spread. And it's just like, you know, in 28 days later, it never spread because you get infected in less than a minute. It's very easy to see who is and who isn't infected because they're running at you and trying to bash your face in. It's... And if anyone's ever played the Pandemic game, I think it's a browser game if you can get it for your phone as well, you will know the key to being successful and spreading across the world is the fact that you don't want people to know that they're infected. You want to keep the symptoms low. So if someone's turning in a minute and they're just mindlessly flailing, they don't have any real cognitive thought, they're just mindless zombies for all intents and purposes, we call them infected on zombies, whatever. How in the holy fuck are you going to get off the country? And 28 days later, they never did. They just quarantined, spoilers, they just quarantined, it's fucking over a decade old, it's not spoilers, but they just quarantined England and waiting for the infected to starve to death. And it works. So why in World War Z, where you have fast-running zombies, which are basically, yes, they are technically zombies in that one. They're not just infected, but they function in a very similar way to the infected in 28 Days Later. How in the holy fuck this spread to the entire world in what, days, weeks? It makes no goddamn sense. Like, how are you going to get across borders? How are they going to get across seas? And they even have a really dumb moment in the movie where they've just escaped from a bunch of shit going down. They're on board a plane, and it all seems fine, except that there's one person. Sorry, I'm just getting angry thinking about it. There's one fucking person who is in the toilet of the airplane cabin, who is infected and no one knows. And they open the door and they start spying, and it just infects the whole plane. I was sitting there going, how the fuck did an infected person, bearing in mind you turn in less than a minute, how the fuck did some infected person in that very specific minute get on board the plane, get into the toilet, lock the toilet door, not make a sound apparently during any point when you're flying off? It's one of those which is like, don't think about it. Don't think about it. It's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't just be a retard. I can't just not think about something that makes no fucking sense. Especially having read the book, where he makes a very big point that the infection rate can vary quite wildly based on how much you're infected with. I think if you're bitten, it's usually between 24 to 48 hours, which makes sense. And then they even talk at length about, okay, if it's been 24 and 48 hours, it wouldn't be able to pass through, you know, like in 28 Days Later, it wouldn't get off the country because it wouldn't get on a plane. And how the zombie virus spreads in the novel is through the black market organ trade. Basically, the infection starts in a lot of poor countries. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it's like some small places in Africa. Small, poor places in Africa. And let's not let this get infected.
Units under attack.
Are you sure?
It's a couple of like poor places in Africa, and you know, a lot of times
Straight to the heart.
they'll either knock someone out, steal their kidneys, or they just straight up kill them.
What?
And you get a lot of organs. And it was following a doctor in Africa who was like having to do transplants for stuff.
Building completed.
And he did I want to say it's a heart transplant he worked on. It's been a while since I read it.
Attention.
And the person he did the heart transplant on, because the organ's been in ice, then wakes up, starts thrashing around. He comes back to the office, and because Africa's, I think it might have been Africa, it might have been Brazil, probably more Brazil, because the murder rate is just
Our soldiers are in trouble.
the murder rate in in Brazil is just insane. He comes back with like a Desert Eagle, and it goes crazy, and he accidentally like misses the shot because he's not used to firing the gun, and blows its head off. And then they're kind of theorizing from that point how the virus spread, in that you would have a lot of organs from these poor places, and a lot of time, like, there may have actually been zombies, but they've just been subdued, because if it's just one by itself, you can probably subdue them quite easily. Strapped them down, taken their organs, and sold them on for a hefty profit. And if you were to take something like a skin graft, something that's not going to, like, with the heart transplant, he turned in a couple of hours because it's pumping the infection pretty much around the body quite quickly. With something like a skin graft, because it's going to take a long time for whatever infectious material you have to go around the rest of the tissue, they theorise that it could potentially be up to a month before the person's turned. And so now you have a means of the infection spreading from the country. It's not through infected people, it's through infected material, which makes a lot of sense. Like, that's why when you people who deal with samples at the laboratories and whatnot, you have to have a lot of procedures in place, because you could fucking catch something. And it suddenly is like, oh shit, that kind of makes sense. How are we going to do this in World War Z? Nope, they just get anywhere. They were just going to gloss. Oh fuck, a bit too many. It's not even that we're going to come up with a new convoluted reason for why this happened. We're just not going to address it. The zombies are everywhere now, don't think about it. It's just like, fuck you, movie. This was like one of the greatest zombie novels ever made that really went into detail about like the economics and everything, and you just don't think about it. Don't think you turn the smartest zombie book into the dumbest zombie movie. Just fuck you.
Attention. Building completed.
Right, I really shouldn't have pulled that many, but hopefully we just run in a circle, we can keep them going. I'm going to try and stop pausing and actually focus on the game a little bit more. I realise I have not been doing great at that. I'm not great at multitasking. Hopefully my rants are at least of some entertainment.
Are you sure?
Right, so it looks as if the two
walls
scouts
are
we've
under
got
attack.
down there were confined. Soldiers under attack, is that? I think fine.
A new task. Okay.
Our
Yeah.
defenses are being attacked.
Okay, and now we have enough for our soldiers and us, so start getting some troops out.
They are trying to break
Are you
through.
sure? What do you
Can you,
want?
it's
now?
like, stop trying to
Better
break
be
through.
good. What?
Okay.
They are attacking the colony defenses.
For those wondering, because I know it doesn't happen on every setting, there is an option you can turn on in the option menu
The
Yeah.
walls are
where
under
it will give you a
attack.
notification even if the notification
Okay.
happens on screen,
Chase
because
my
by default
arrows.
it will only give you a
more
notification
Units under attack.
if it doesn't happen in your field of view. And the problem I find with that is you miss it a lot if you have that on.
You are
So
gonna pay me for this,
I've got
right?
it turned
Let me put
on,
an arrow
so
in
it gives
his
you it
head.
no matter what. Unfortunately, it can be a little bit
tell me.
annoying at times,
But be
but
quick.
I'd much rather be safe than dead. Okay, let's get this one up. We're gonna need to build some more hunter cottages up here because we haven't got farms, which is fine. I always find this mission to be quite annoying because I usually go for the ranger upgrade, or
Gotcha.
when I did it before rather. I went for
Better
the
be good.
ranger upgrade
Are you
over the
sure?
farm, which is probably the better thing to do because you have to clear out a
Attention.
village of doom, but dear fucking god, no, I think farms suck. It sucks so bad.
Attention.
I find it
Building
was
completed.
not just me, a lot of players, they played through the survival mode, and that's pretty much how they learn, you know, trial by fire,
Gotcha.
thrown in the deep end.
Yes, tell
So
me.
then when you suddenly play the campaign where
What
half
do
the
you
text
want
locked
now?
away and you're so used to having it, it's just like,
They are
Okay.
trying to break through.
that's the correct terminology of the emotion to go through is gaga.
So boring.
Our soldiers are in trouble.
Take you out.
Yes.
Ah, for fuck's sake. We don't want to move them out the way because I can guarantee as soon as we do. There we go.
What
They
do you
are
want
attacking
now?
the colony
Great
defenses.
idea.
Things
No,
will go
I'm just kidding.
peacock.
Roger that.
How much health does that have?
You
Still got
order?
enough.
The walls are under attack.
Roger that. You great.
Our
Are you
defenses
sure?
are being attacked.
You order, you pay.
Okay, stop fine.
What do you want now?
They are
My
trying
bow
to
and
break
arrows
through.
are ready.
Let's get some of these tents up.
You again. I hope you're not
They
wasting
are
my
attacking
time.
the colony defenses.
What do you want
I don't know when they
now?
changed this as
Great.
well, because I know when you used to get
They are
veterancy
trying to
for
break into the buildings.
when you used to get veterancy for rangers, it would increase your damage and it would increase how quickly
Yes.
you dealt said
Train has
damage.
arrived at
But
the station.
I don't know when, but in one of the updates they seem to have changed it so it actually increases the range as well,
You are gonna pay
which
me
is
for this, right?
very much appreciated.
Building complete.
Okay.
Especially on
Bow
something
and
like the
arrows are
soldier,
ready.
it's really useful.
What do you want now?
Right, let's
Let me
start
put an arrow
setting
in his head. You are gonna pay me for this, right?
Waypoints. Oh, Gesundheit.
What do you want now?
Our forces are in
I'm gonna need to
danger.
figure out a way to not sneeze into the mic.
What? Yeah.
Okay, move them up, get them running across. Need more. Need more wood. Need more wood.
You are gonna pay me for this, right? And arrows are ready.
Right, we probably want to keep our 2 veterans.
Okay.
Keep going. We just want to
My bow is
get a
ready.
perimeter built up and then we can focus on pushing out a little bit more.
What?
This
Roger that.
mission isn't one that has any kind of time
Straight
limit, so
to
we
the heart.
don't have to
You-
worry about that. We can take our sweet
sure?
old time with it, and I would recommend doing it. The best way to get killed in this game is to rush. and it can be quite difficult
What?
not to do that,
Faster than my
My
bow.
bow and
because
arrows are
you usually
ready.
have swarms coming every few days. But it's about learning
You are gonna pay me for this,
to
right?
go quickly, but
Attention.
not to panic
Building
if
completed.
something happens and you're a little bit behind where you want to be.
Building completed. The train has arrived at the station.
What? I
Right, let's
hope
start
you're not
clearing
wasting
up.
my time.
Let's have more rangers coming out. Let's not be falling behind on that.
Our defenses are being attacked.
Oh, more orders. Yeah.
All appears to be above board. I very much appreciate the wooden towers because the extra range that they give you, but in all honesty, for early game,
They are trying to break through.
don't bother with... It's a bit different for survival. I don't want to be giving you bad tips for survival. But a lot of the time, it's much better just to have a basic wall and just have rangers running up and down there. The upkeep you're going to be spending on those rangers is a gold apiece,
You call that?
and they're quite easy and don't require much tech to build. So just that alone is usually much better than wasting gold on a tower, because even just a tower only costs 120 gold, but if you could be spending that on something else, it adds up. And the ballistas are fantastic, but at 15 gold a piece, they can cost quite a bit. So usually I prefer just having soldiers run up and down them. So get the good with the patrol routes. You want to have them, especially for the next mission we're going to do after this. We have some iron there, which we do not need because we don't have soldiers unlocked yet.
This better be good. What do you want? My bow and arrows are
Roger
ready.
that.
And we'll have a couple
What?
up there
You
to
again?
patrol this bit.
Great.
No doubt they'll come through.
What?
Yes.
And then we build a wall across there, and we have our perimeter secured.
Attention. Building completed.
You are gonna pay
Speak
me
of the
for this,
devil,
right?
literally as I say it, we
Gotcha.
start having some slow walks come through. Usually the further in the game you get, the quicker walkers will be coming, so you start getting stronger waves, as you would probably imagine.
What do you want?
And you want to make sure you have all of your exits covered, because even just one can start off an absolutely horrible chain reaction if you're not careful.
The train has arrived at the station.
Them up there.
What's my bow and arrows are around?
Straight to the heart.
The walls are under
Order,
attack.
you pay.
Speak of the devil.
What? Okay.
Let's
A new
move
tactic.
these two down.
Building completed.
Should be enough to deal with that. Might want to double up those. Oh, that means I can't get through there. Might want to double up those walls when I get the
defenses are
opportunity.
You
being
are gonna pay me for this, right? Yeah. My bow and arrows
Yes.
are
They
ready.
are trying to break through.
What?
They are attacking the
What do
colony
you want?
Goodness
defenses.
sake.
Roger
Oh,
that.
that's actually quite a lot. Alright, pull
Yes.
those back.
Yes,
We'll keep.
tell me.
No,
Quick.
you tart!
Gotcha.
Units under
Order,
attack.
you pay.
The walls are
Alright, let's
under
spread them
attack.
out
Here
because I
we
think
go
they're making
again.
a little
Okay.
bit too much noise.
Yes, tell me. But be quick. Great.
Let's try
My
and
bow and arrows are ready.
put them away. They're coming to take me away. Ha ha,
Oh,
hee hee,
here
ha ha,
we
the
go
funny
again.
man.
This better be good.
Our defenses
Yes.
are being
Start
attacked.
running.
Okay. What's up? Any infected
Why
around?
have wooden
What?
walls
Yeah.
when a loose formation of thoughts does it better?
The train
Great.
has arrived at the station.
Genuinely, when you play on the desert maps, you pretty much need to do that. Just a wall, when it gets banged on, causes so much noise that
They
the
are
wall
trying
kills
to
you
break
more than it
through.
saves you.
Are you sure? My
Keep
bow and
firing.
arrows are ready.
Great. Faster than my bow.
Our
you
soldiers
sure?
are in trouble.
Just have
Okay,
a quick glance at the
but it's
minimap
gonna
to make
cost
sure
you
it's
double.
actually this soldier in trouble and not
Yes.
anyone else.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, let's go some more tents because we are running dangerously low on workers.
You again.
Okay, so we'll
This
have
better be good. My bow and
you
arrows
two
are
patrol
ready.
that bit.
What?
No.
You are gonna
Run.
pay me for this, right?
Shift.
Yes, tell me.
Free. Nah,
What do
let's
you
take.
They are
Let's take
attacking
the
the
veteran.
colony defenses.
I think when we get a bit more wood, we'll double this up. Rather than have too many
Oh,
sitting back
more
not
orders.
working.
Attention. Building completed.
Aren't there other
Okay,
needs to
that power
bother?
finding's fucked. Move them in.
My bow and arrows are ready. You again.
Roger that.
So tired.
We don't need
Right.
you. In fact, there's usually
Are
quite a
you
lot of
sure?
company there, so we'll have,
You again.
we'll
Yeah.
have one move up there and the rest
This
start
better
pushing
be good.
forward.
A new task.
Roger that.
What?
And
Are
stick
you
you
sure?
in there as well.
My
See if we can
bow
get some
and
soldiers
arrows
out
are
as soon as
ready.
we can.
Oh, more orders. What? Okay.
We're probably going to need to expand up
Are there
this
other
way
needs to bother?
anyway, just
My
for
bow
Hunter
and
Cottage
arrows are
room,
ready.
but might as well play it safe and build a small gate here,
A new task.
just to stop any
Are you sure?
cheeky so-and-sos coming in behind us.
What?
Yes.
You are gonna pay me for this, right?
Oh, starting to pull a bit too many, let's get kiting.
Attention.
I hope you're not
Building
wasting my
complete.
time. My bow and arrows are ready.
Train
Okay.
has arrived at the station.
You again. Yeah. This better be good.
If that's working fine.
You again. You call that a plan? What?
And I think
Yeah.
we're starting to reach a critical mass where they can just
Oh, here we go
down people
again.
before they get to it.
Yes.
Always nice when we get to that point.
My bow and arrows are ready. You call that a plan? Yeah.
Now it does say that there's some food up here, but I'm pretty sure there's literally one
You-
crate. It's like, food
Okay.
galore! When you pick up the food crate, it will give you a
Walls are
permanent
under
supply
attack.
of food, which
Are ready.
I don't understand how that makes sense. Like, you build hunters' cottages and stuff and farms, and the idea is that they're continually generating food for the colony. How picking up one supply of food generates that amount of food for the rest of your colony it's video game logic, innit? But yeah, there's one up there. I don't think the Village of Doom drops any, which is annoying because it would make it a lot easier not having to just stick these everywhere.
Yeah. This better be good.
Yes.
The Village of Doom itself isn't actually that hard to deal with. It's more sneaky waves that come in whilst you're trying to deal with said Village of Doom that tend to cause an issue.
What's up? My bow and arrows are ready.
They are
Unfortunately,
trying to break
the
through.
train drives right through it, so occasionally kills some. How on earth the noise of the train isn't attracting it then to our base?
Attention.
Again,
Building
game logic.
completed.
I think is the answer to most of those
Roger that.
questions. Right, so I want to try and move up there and build that bit across. That gave us a nice big jump in food. I do apologise. It's once you play for a while, it gets really ingrained into you that the second anything goes wrong, just pause it. And there is an achievement for completing a mission at 100% without pausing it, which is not actually very difficult to do. But I had to go to my key bindings and unbind the pause button because it's like there's no way I'm not going to accidentally click this at some point whilst trying to do it.
Attention.
My bow and
Building
arrows are ready.
completed.
Are you sure?
They are attacking the colony
Since
defenses.
I do apologise, I did say I would try and not pause too much in the early missions, go through quicker. It's really hard to do. You do it almost on
Our
an
forces
unconscious
are in
level.
danger.
It's like the panic button.
Last night was amazing.
Alright.
Okay.
See if we can. Yeah, just to be safe.
What?
It's probably fine, but
Yeah.
no point risking it.
A new task.
This one definitely isn't fine. I know a lot come through there. That I am certain of.
Yes. What?
Let's stop forgetting to pop them out.
Attention. Building completed.
My bow and
Train has
arrows
arrived
and
at
no
the
task.
station.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I find a lot of the newer players
here we
get
go again.
confused. They see these just pumping out over and over and over again, and it's very easy to think that their numbers are infinite. If you keep soldiers outside hacking away, they do eventually run out.
You
There's
order,
no such
you pay.
wait, what the fuck?
Units
Yeah.
under attack.
There's no such thing
bow
as
and
there
arrows
aren't
are
infinite
ready.
spawns. Or at least not that I've come across in the
Okay.
campaign so far. Maybe there's some mission with it. Like even in the hero missions,
Yes.
you have those small holes where it'll say, "Oh, the zombies will continually come
My
out."
bow and arrows
I
are ready.
don't think
Better
that's the
be good.
case.
Great idea.
Maybe there's a couple
No,
of
I'm
exceptions,
kidding.
but I'm fairly
Our
certain that they
soldiers
all
are
have
in
a
trouble.
finite number. It's just that finite number tends to be really large that people can assume that it's infinite.
Gotcha.
Okay, what we want to try and do once we move up there is if we can cause noise on this side, pull.
My
Oh my
bow
god,
and
there's no
arrows
cursor
are
on the
ready.
stream. Well,
Attention.
you can
Building
kind of see
completed.
what I'm clicking on.
The train has
I'm
arrived
so
at the
bad at this.
station.
You can kind of see what I'm trying to be clicking on, right?
My bow and arrows
If we
are
can clear out the bottom bit and try to cause noise across the train track, if we can get the infected to walk
Our
across
forces
it,
are in
then
danger.
ready. This better be
the train
good.
gives them.
Roger that.
It comes like once a day, so the
My
amount it
bow
kills
and
is
arrows are
fairly
ready.
negligent, but it makes me happy on the inside, and that's the important thing.
I hope you're not wasting my time. My bow and arrows are ready.
Alright, try not to pause, try not to pause. It's like trying not to itch.
Attention. Building
My
completed.
bow and arrows are ready.
And all the way out.
You again. What? Yes. You again. My bow and arrows
walls
are
are under
ready.
attack.
You pay.
Can you stop that? It's too late, it'll be fine.
Units under
Should be
attack.
fine.
Our defenses are being attacked.
My bow and
I
arrows
think once we
are
clear
ready.
it out there,
Right
we'll
at the
clear most of the
station.
map
Yeah.
before we go to tackle that village of June, just in case.
They are trying to break through.
You again. Okay,
Let's
my
have at
bow
least
and
one
arrows are
patrolling
ready.
this bit.
Yes, tell me. But be quick. You again. Yeah.
They are attacking the colony defenses.
Great.
Okay.
Our soldiers are in trouble.
My bow and arrows are ready.
The walls are under attack.
Roger that.
In. I do wish there was a way to just isolate and turn down the vet noise, especially when you do the final waves in some missions. You just have a bunch of them attacking you, just ba-ba-dam, 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 and you start getting like, this gives you tinnitus.
Are you
Building
sure?
completed.
What? Yes.
Alright, let's make sure we've actually cleared this out.
My bow
There's
is ready.
definitely going to be
My
some
bow and
forces
cheeky
are in danger.
corners.
A new task.
Clear that bit out down
The
there.
train has arrived at the station.
My bow and arrows are ready. On Aren't there other units to bother?
We change that
Attention. Building completed.
there.
Yes, tell me.
Units under attack.
Quick. My bow and arrows
There's
are
always
ready.
one that
It's gonna
splits away
cost
from
you
the
double.
group.
Let me
Let's
put
move
Meadow
you
in his head.
back
You
up. Keep those
I
patrols
hope you're not
going.
wasting my time.
I think there still might be some
Building
coming from
completed.
down the bottom there, but the other bit should be secure.
My bow and arrows are ready.
Attention. Building completed.
Do we need the gold? Not really. Might go for it anyway.
My
Just
bow and arrows are ready. What?
hey, we're out of workers. Right, let's bust out these hunting cottages again.
My bow and arrows are ready.
I mean, the goals for the... I always wondered, you have separate workers and colonists, and when you're doing the survivor missions, I always wondered what was the point. Colonists don't actually do anything.
Attention. Building completed.
And
The train
I
has
see now
arrived
with
at
these
the
missions is
station.
that a lot of time it will say, oh, you have to get X number of colonists. And the good thing about things like farms is that they don't cost workers, but they do produce colonists. So even just doing this is going to be increasing your number.
Building completed.
Oh fuck, there's food there.
Okay,
Attention.
you are gonna
Building
pay me for
complete.
this,
Blind
right?
man.
What?
Attention. Building completed. Attention. Building completed.
My bow and arrows are ready.
Building completed.
Well, I don't need to worry of any more soldier centers stuff. I think these ranges alone should be more than adequate. Let's just try and cause a bit of a noise first before we
What's up?
press
Any
in, because
infected
it is
around?
very easy
Building
to get
completed.
overwhelmed with...
Attention.
Any
Building
attacks?
completed. Attention. Building completed.
Yes.
As if instantly. Right, hopefully that will start draining
The
those out.
train has arrived at the station.
Some more windmills. Yep. Even just the archers, I think they cause one noise per tile that they're standing on for every shot. But even just one noise, especially on the higher levels, it adds up really quickly. So you can pull with just rangers.
What do you want now?
I mean, it makes sense because, you know, obviously a bow makes less sense than a bullet firing because that's an explosion, but it's not like a bow's silent. It's an
Attention.
interesting thing
Building
actually,
completed.
you know when you see
They are trying to break
silencers
through.
and... That should be fine. You know when you see silencers and stuff like that in movies,
They are
not
attacking
silencer,
the colony
it's not a
defenses.
silencer, it's a suppressor.
Attention.
I have to get that right
Building
because I've
completed.
gotten so used to saying that as well. Silencer is the layman's term. A suppressor doesn't
Walls are under
actually
attack.
suppress noise by that much. Like,
You are gonna pay me for this, right?
I think it reduces it by 20 decibels, and that is a lot because the decibel system is a logarithmic system, so every 10 decibels is
Attention. Building completed.
a tenfold increase. Sorry, brain fart moment. But you can have a suppressor on a gun or your light, it's still going to be really fucking
Building
loud.
completed.
Like, it might stop someone from a mile away hearing it, but if you're trying to assassinate someone like adjacent to someone else, that's not a thing. Doesn't work like that. I'm trying to remember. I remember reading about. I think I might have first heard it on Mythbusters, and I did a bit more investigation. Because as much as I love Mythbusters, don't just trust
Great.
Mythbusters for your information. Same for anything. Never just trust a single source. Do research. Make sure people aren't telling porcupines.
Attention. Building completed.
Okay, that's going to technically reduce our food make because it's going to be interfering with the hunters' cottages, but not by enough for us to really care.
Attention. Building completed.
So it's 400, I think, wasn't it? 400 sounds about
A
right.
new task. Roger that.
Attention.
Not too far off that.
Building completed. Attention.
Great.
Building completed. Attention. Building completed. Attention. Building completed. Attention.
What do you
Building
want
completed.
Whoa, Nelly, that's quite a lot.
Our soldiers are in trouble. Attention. Building completed.
Aren't there other units to bother? Right?
Attention.
Clean the out.
Building completed. Attention. Building completed.
I always find the way the units get
Attention.
moved by that train is
Building
so
complete.
goofy.
Are you sure?
Attention. Building completed.
There we go, 480. Let's just clear this out and we are done. Speaking of clearing it out.
What do you want now? Gotcha. My bow and
We
arrows
have,
are ready.
let me just build a couple of these just to make it look pretty. Purely to appease the aesthetic desired in me. Just have a little something like that. I mean, if they're gonna die if something goes wrong, the little hunters people, but it's fine. I do wish
Yes,
when
tell
they
me.
were designing the
But be
campaign
quick.
that there was a little bit more consistency between going to a new area and where the train comes and goes from. If that makes any sense, we'll not explain it very well. Okay. Right, that's unlocked by that. Perfect. Let's leave that for a little bit just till we get a few more Empire points. That one we're leaving for a while because we ain't got the tool to do with that just yet. Just Meadow, Communications Center. Might as well do the other Communications Center and get a little bit more research to make just Meadow a little bit easier for us. Now, if you will just excuse me for the briefest of moments, I must lubricate my throat, so just bear with me a moment. Apologies, it is like, it is literally a bajillion degrees at the moment. Oh, this one's gonna take a while. Alpha Communications Center. All we know about the Alpha Fortress is that it was a sophisticated satellite communications center, judging from the radio antennas that rise above the forest. Inside it, there must be for sure a lot of technology and even valuable relics from the pre-infection era. But I think that's grammatically incorrect. It's definitely worded weirdly. Okay, attack speed, life, attack damage, speed. I'm going to go for the speed. It's probably the most useful, especially later on. Being able to kite is very important, and Kaelus's base speed of 2 is only marginally faster than a running one, which means you have to run the better length of a map to actually get the distance to fire again. So I'm going to go for speed. And get started with the Alpha Communication Center. And this one may take some time. There's just so many to clear in this, it's very tedious. I'm going to get some proper arthritis. Right.
Orders from the Empire? All right.
Let's clear out the outside and hopefully we can pick up a couple of grenades. There we
Excellent
go.
idea.
Nice triple kill. Oh baby.
Let's
triple.
kill the enemies of the Empire.
So if you aim for the center mass, you tend to get a little bit more success with hitting
For the
multiple ones.
humans, no fear.
And I find that
For the Emperor,
I know a few people don't like
let's
the idea
kill
of
the
clicking
enemies of the
into
Empire.
animation cancel because they're just like, oh, I won't be able to do it. It's really not that
course.
difficult. It's if you played any kind of rhythm games, you start like not even just like Guitar Hero or whatever,
Sounds
but like
good.
Crypt the Necrodancer or anything of that nature. You do pick it up
For
quite
the
quickly, and
humans.
eventually it becomes almost second nature to you.
For the
Biggest problem is when he
humans.
starts moving around, because if he has to move around, then you've lost all
Come
the
on.
speed increase. I haven't
Okay.
tested out how attack speed increase and reload speed interact with doing this animation
Yes.
cancelling, so I'm not sure if they're redundant or not, or if in that case, whilst attack speed is normally the better, aiming speed might not be better in that, or reloading speed. I don't know, I'm winging it. I'm really winging this part. Satellite communication center to control the infected population. Restricted access. Authorized personnel only. Yeah, that bit I don't really know what an optimal build is, and to be honest, from what I've played so far, as
They're
long as
already
you
dead.
have a little bit of speed to get away,
I love
that's the
it.
most important thing. Like it seems as if the hero
Silent
missions at least accommodate most build orders. If ever you come across something that you're not equipped to deal with, you'll be given grenades, or you'll be given barrels, or you'll be given some kind of tool. So the upgrades are nice, they're never usually
Perfect.
necessary. Unlike the research technologies, in which
Understood.
case certain missions are straight up just not doable if you don't have the right right
Sounds
technology.
good.
Right, what we're going to do, we're going to avoid as many of these rooms as we can for the time
So
being
glad
until
to do
we
it.
get a bit of assistance to help clear it out.
For
Because
the
otherwise
Empire.
we're going to be here all day. We're going to be here all day anyway,
The
but we're going to be
party
here
has
double all day,
just begun.
triple all day infinite.
Those heads are calling for a bullet. Yes.
Okay.
Anything more? Let me blow up some heads. So glad to do it.
Try and concentrate and mess up timing.
For the Empire. Okay. I still have some tricks
This
up my
is,
sleeve. For the Empire.
I
I still have some tricks up my sleeve.
Good, yeah. Think about your words, then speak. Don't
Don't
overthink about first.
just begun.
One problem for any of you who've ever watched
For
the
the
Walking Dead
humans.
TV show. I am quite a
For
big
the
fan of
Emperor.
the graphic novel that it's based on. I still think that holds up.
Silent
But dear God, I can't be the only one in
No
saying that the
fear.
show just got
Let's
so
go.
infuriating, because
Great
I'm
value,
not
no
certain how many people
doubt.
work on it,
For the
but
Empire.
I'm fairly certain there was a number of writers worked on it. And I find
No
in shows
fear.
where you have more than one, like not all the
Of
time, not all the
course.
time, it can
They're
work, but
already dead.
a lot of the time when you have multiple writers working on a show,
Let me blow up some heads.
they will each have different ideas of how characters
Those
should
heads
react.
are calling
And
for
a lot of the time
bullet.
characters don't seem to be
For the
consistent,
humans.
because they're not. They
For the
have
Empire.
two different people, or more than two people,
So
different
glad to do
interpretation of how a character would react to a situation.
For the Empire.
And Walking Dead, as well as being a crime
Let's
against
kill the enemies
anyone
of
with
the
any
Empire.
kind of common sense, is so guilty of that.
Glad to do it.
So, in season
No
3,
fear.
they come across a prison,
For the
and
Empire.
it's crawling with zombies, as everything. But they're like, you know what? If we can clear this prison out, this is
No
a secure place
fear.
that we can hunker down.
For the humans.
So they go and clear it out, and it's
Great.
it's a testament to just lazy writing in general, but
Those
also the kind of
heads
lazy
are
writing that
calling
ended
for
up
a
happening
bullet.
with Walking Dead, in which
Fast and
any
silent.
time a big
They're
development would
already
happen,
dead.
it was usually because the character
Fast
was being
and silent.
massively incompetent or
Looks
acting
worth
completely
taking.
out of character to what
Yes.
they have been established to be like prior to
Silent.
that. So they tried to clear out the prison,
For the Empire.
and they already know about a lot about the
Let's
walkers, as they call them, because they've been on the road
So
now for 7
glad to do
months.
it.
I believe it was 7 months. And
So
I'm pretty sure they were doing
glad
stuff
to
before
do
then.
it.
So it's been the better part of a year
All
at this
right.
point. So they should have a pretty good idea of how the weapons work. So if you want to clear out a prison which has different compartments and whatnot, what would you do? Would it be a wise idea to do what I'm doing now? Open one area at a time, stay by the entrance, make a lot of noise, let them come to you, and you could probably form some kind of, not a spear wall, but you could form a formation so as they come at you, you take their head out one time. Or do you wander blindly in a maze-like prison that's very dimly lit, with your dick out and hope you don't die? It's
silent and
like it really bugged me, because if you've read the graphic novel, they do come across a lot of problems, and they're usually quite smart about how they deal with them. In fact, the graphic novel was more realistic in a few areas somehow. There's a scene when they are in the prison, and there's a lot of walkers that are banging up against the fence of the prison, and they're trying to think, okay, how do we deal with this? We have a lot of walkers here, and if they keep coming here, they're going to eventually topple the gate over. And they're like, okay, well, we have a fence between them, we have a natural barrier, so maybe we can use this to the advantage. So they try stabbing them through the head, in the head, through the fence. And in the graphic novel, they try doing that, but because it gets wedged in the head, I believe it's Dale, the character in the graphic novel, he can't pull the knife out. So they end up making a device where it's basically just a knife or a block of wood. But because you have that block of wood to push against, it stops the knife being lost through the wire fencing. And it's like, oh, that's brilliant. Surely when they do the TV show, because you know you can be a lot more realistic with it, it's not just some dude's drawing, they're going to do that even better. It's like, nope, they just stab him through the fence, no problem. And you see it a lot of times, it seems like they always get lazy with it. Where some of the times when they've been stabbed through the head or whatnot, it seems like such a lazy strike. It's like, you wouldn't get through shit doing that.
Come on.
There's a channel on YouTube called Scaling. He's like a history channel. He talks about like medieval weapons and Viking weaponry and stuff. And he does quite a lot of tests on ballistic gels. So I believe I think they're literally called zombie heads, where it's like a ballistic gel that was meant to replicate a head. So it's got like the gel around it, like prosthetic bone, stuff like that, and it's meant to be at least a vaguely decent representation of what a normal head would be like. And you find that a lot of just whacking someone, even with all your force behind it, because you know, flesh and the body, and you have the articulations of the neck, because it moves, you're not usually going to get a solid hit. Admittedly, when you're fighting a zombie, because they have no sense of self-preservation, you're probably going to get more of a solid hit than you would if you're fighting a person. But piercing through skull ain't easy. And then they try to do, it's like, oh, well, they're a zombie, they've been decomposing for a bit, so it's easy to get through. It's like, it's still not that easy. It's like, you can't just flick it and it's... Yeah, it bugs me. It's one thing I quite liked about the World War Z book. Before he did World War Z, Max Brooks wrote the Zombie Survival Guide, which is a brilliant read. I would definitely recommend it. It's very interesting for nerdy fans of like zombie lore and whatnot. And in the back of that, there's a bunch of it was like, I can't remember what the title was called, but it was basically meant to be short stories that have shown like interactions people have had with zombies in like different years and stuff. I think the first one was like a couple hundred years ago. About, some historical evidence they have of that, but there's a brilliant one. I believe it's a film crew that's out someplace, and they end up running to a small house with zombies following them. And there's two staircases leading up to the second staircase. Second staircase, second floor, or first floor if you're British, second floor if you're not.
Anything more?
And they destroy one of the staircases so they can stay on the
For the
upper floor.
Empire!
And the zombies can't get up to them. And I think they have like sledgehammers and tools and brooms and whatnot.
For
But
the
as the
Empire.
zombies are coming, they don't have enough time to destroy the second
They're
staircase.
already dead.
So all they can
Sounds
do
good.
is they get a couple of
No
doors. I think they pull them off the hinges and they nail the doors onto the
I still have
staircase.
some
So it
tricks
creates
up
almost
my
like a
sleeve.
slide instead. And as the zombies are
Let's
trying to
kill the
come up the
enemies of the
slide,
Empire.
because at that point they don't know what the fuck a zombie is.
Nice.
They just know that I
For
think they
the
shot it a
Empire.
couple of times in the chest and didn't do anything. And I'm pretty certain the person with the gun has now been eaten,
Let
so they
me
don't have the
blow
gun
up some
anymore.
heads.
They end up just using broomsticks to keep pushing them
So glad to do.
down the stairs. They try to climb up, push down.
Come on.
And then they do this for a couple hours, and I think there's like
no
3 of them.
Fear.
And they're taking turns to push the zombies down the stairs.
For the
And eventually one of
Empire.
the zombies grabs onto the broomstick, it snaps, gets lodged in his head, and they find out it kills them.
Okay.
It's like, oh, this is a good idea. And so over the
Great.
next 8 hours, again,
No
because there's only one
fear.
loot up, they're still taking it in turns, because some of them get a bit fatigued.
For
I
the
think over 8 hours, it's about
humans.
23 zombies or so. They
For the
slowly
humans.
crush with like a hammer, or they stab them, and you know, over a period of hours, they do a very slow,
So glad to
methodical
do it.
way of dealing with them. And to me,
Those
that was
heads
always
are calling for a
what
bullet.
was scary about the zombies.
the
Like, they're
Empire.
not smart. You can outthink them
All right.
very easily. You shouldn't ever be getting fucking ambushed by a zombie
course.
like they always seem to do in The Walking Dead.
Perfect.
But what makes them terrifying
They're
is that they
already
are
dead.
relentless. They will, again, in
Silent
the,
and
I think it was World War Z,
The
there's,
party has
they're talking
just
about a
begun.
crew that are stuck on a space station,
Great.
and they have different cameras that they're using to help the people still on
No
Earth because they can't
fear.
get them off of
Yes.
said space station. And he's just following this one
So
zombie in the
glad
desert,
to do it.
and I think it was like some kind of burrowing animal
They're
burrows under the
already
sand,
dead.
and the zombie starts digging, and the zombie digs for 3 days
All
straight,
right.
until eventually it loses the scent of them and gets up and walks off.
Interesting. Come
And
on.
that's what's terrifying about them. Not that they're smart, not that they're strong, not that they're any of that,
Okay.
but that they are relentless. And they just Walking
For
Dead seems
the
to forget
Empire.
that. Like,
I still have some tricks up my sleeve.
sorry, I know it's just
Sounds
turned
good.
into me bitching about zombie movies and TV shows, but dear
Excellent
God, they
idea,
get
sir.
some of them so wrong.
Of course.
I mean, let's not even talk about
No
Resident Evil.
fear.
I know there's some people out there that believe
Let me blow up
the
some
Resident
heads.
Evil films are just
Of
high
course.
art, greatest things ever made, and I think it's safe to
I
remove
love
said
it.
people from the gene pool for future generations.
I hope not to find a Harpy.
how to get
Great.
how to get banned on YouTube in your very first live stream.
Interesting.
Right.
Come on.
Okay, so we're
Silent
almost at the snipers. We're just gonna make this clearing a bit quicker. But yeah,
For
the
the
whole point
Empire.
of that whole rant is
Of course.
the writing in The Walking Dead got so bad
Come on.
that, you know, you have zombies and you have other human factions as well, which maybe they did a bit of. Excuse me, please. They did a little bit of a better job of that later on. But attention, dangerous rebel prisoners, do not feed the beasts. Do not feed the beasts.
Interesting.
They did got better with that
Come
later on, but they just seem to miss the point of all the interactions you could have had with the zombies in place of just cheap jump scares for whatever fucking reason. As you approach the rebel mercenary, he looks at you with surprise and says, "Wow, well." So I'm not going to try to advise. So a rat of the Empire comes to free us. It looks like it's our lucky days, and yours too, little soldier. I assume they're hoping you're playing Calliope because, I'm sorry, Kalos is huge, he's a wrestler. Little soldier, under other circumstances we would have blown your head off and the rats would be devouring your brains right now. We will follow you until we get out to the fortress and then we will part ways. You've been warned, follow your path and don't look back. Where are you planning on going? Outside of the colony, where else is there? Okay, so we have a bunch of snipers which we are going to need, and we're also quite fortunate in the fact that they're already veteran, so they fire significantly
Let's go.
faster. I think a base
Of course.
sniper fires a shot every 2.5 seconds, whereas these are 0.91. So I'm fairly certain they have almost a
Ready.
twofold increase
Excellent
in attack
idea,
rate.
sir. Just tell me.
And we're gonna need it because this place is packed shoulder to shoulder with wankers.
Of course.
Okay,
For
let's
the
just take
humans.
these ones
Our
out.
forces are
For
in
the
danger.
Emperor.
First hit.
It's worth it.
Tell me your darkest
Okay, this one you do have to actually be quite careful
What?
with. It is
Come on.
very easy to get overwhelmed. Access to the radio antennas park. Attention, do not enter. The infected have invaded the outer courtyard and the command
Come
center.
on.
So let's just pull them back. Make a little bit of noise to pull them out, not too much, and make the grenades back up. Useful bit of information. You cannot harm yourself with the grenades. So, especially for the later missions, a couple of points. If you want to be efficient with your damage, it's better to wait for them to pretty much have you surrounded and then drop the base.
Anything more?
You should
Let's
want that
kill
to
the enemies of the Empire.
I don't want to put it
tell
on.
me. Of course.
Okay, we've got
So glad to do it. Perfect.
I need to kill something.
But we want to be very slow and methodical with clearing this place out. Like they should be in The Walking Dead, but never are. Especially when you come to the corners because of the way the travel sounds. Because of the way sound travels, you can be making a lot of noise, but because they're getting caught on a wall, you're not pulling them. So when you start to turn corners, be careful. And that's why, although I could have got here quicker by using grenades, I've tried to save them, because it's very easy for things to go Python. Okay, but we have 3 medkits to help us if...
For the Empire.
Our soldiers are in trouble.
No problem.
Now I tend not to use the barrels all that much, purely because I have had a very bad experience where I've gone to pick up a barrel and place it in line of where they're coming from, and it's just shot it automatically and killed my dude. And since I'm trying my hardest not to die on this playthrough,
All right. Wonderful.
I say that as my dude gets
Yes,
caught to
tell me
death.
what to kill.
I probably am not going to use them. I value not messing up my entire... I mean, I'm probably going to fail eventually, but we're going to try and last
Units under
as
attack.
long as possible. And I value taking just... Cause, also, if you die, you have to redo the whole bloody mission. And so I'd much rather take a little bit longer clearing the place out than run the risk of having to redo the whole thing from scratch. So I tend to avoid the barrels as much as I can. There are a couple of points later on where you need to use it, and my butthole is clenched the entire time.
This is going to be fun.
Tell me your darkest thoughts.
I hope to become a general soon.
Nothing better than putting a bullet through some brains. Yeah.
In fact,
Yes.
thinking of... I'm just going to end up spoiling the entire World War Z book. Seriously, go... If you watch the movie and you liked
Anything
it,
more?
if you watch the movie and you were disappointed by it, if you have any inkling to actual good stories, go and read it, because it is really good. And they're gonna make a World War Z fucking movie sequel, aren't they?
Commander?
It pains
All right.
every atom in my body.
Orders
it
from
hurts
the
me on a
Empire?
molecular level.
Last night I dreamt of
Probably don't
brains.
want to push it down here. This is probably a little
On
bit
your
dangerous.
orders, Commander. Those heads
Oh, definitely don't want
are
to
cause
Soldiers
for
are
a
in
book.
trouble.
Anything more?
Okay, hold.
Commander?
There's a really good way of saying how you're meant to be dealing with a mass war against zombies. And I do like the fact that some of the tactics they talk about, Morgan said, tend to be quite effective in this game. Obviously there's a bit of liberty taken, there's a few differences, but there's one, I believe it's called the Battle of Hope, where they are trying to reclaim a significant portion of land, and they have a convoy. They do their best, and again they talk a lot about noise, which I really appreciate, because obviously noise is such an important part of this game. They do their best to set themselves up, and they try not to make any noise, as little noise as possible, until they're in a position where they find I believe it's a cliff face, and they position their troops in front of the cliff face. So the point is that the zombies can only come from in front of you and a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. Your back is secure. So they have, I think it's trucks, or I don't know, trucks, like even animals or supplies. I can't remember. It's been so many. I need to read it again. But they have a lot of supplies, and they very deliberately arm all of their troops with basic rifles, almost like a M1 Garand or something. All I can remember is that they call the ammunition they use cherries, because, in fact, I'm a little bit nervous about that.
For the humans!
Because of there's like a phosphorus.
Yes.
Barrel there.
What?
There's like a phosphorus.
Come
there's
on.
like some kind of phosphor in it.
The party has
So when
just
they shoot
begun.
a Z in the head, the whole point is that it combusts slightly, and it causes burning, which is more likely to kill the zombie with a headshot, because there are cases, even in real life, where a person's been shot through the head, shot through the brain, and has survived because it's not hit the vital parts. So the ammunition they use has like a burning essence to it, so when they shoot them in the head, it causes them to almost light up. And I think it was based on like the cherry bombs I think Americans get. I've never seen them over here. Maybe you can get them over here. I don't know. And they have just basic riflemen, you know, no machine guns, no shotguns, no artillery, none of this nonsense. Because what you want to do to kill a zombie is to get a headshot. So it's like, okay, and if ever you've seen the movie Zulu, where they're using firing formations, that's pretty much what they do. They use rank files, all with rifles, and you have the people on the front line firing, and then if ever you get a bit too tired, someone, like you have these people walking up and down the line, saying, okay, you're getting a bit tired, go take 5, rest up, come back to the front line. So it would be like different formations. So once someone on the first line was getting fatigued because he's been firing for like the better part of an hour, they would rotate them round. So it's almost like Roman tactics. If ever you've seen the first episode of Rome, it shows that you have the legionaries in the front with your sword and shield.
Yes.
And they would then blow a whistle to rotate them back to make sure that you had the formation stayed, and
Tell me your darkest thoughts.
just to make sure that the troops at the front are fresh, whilst the ones on the other side again slowly works down. And so they would have this, and they would have these. You'd have these formations, and they'll slowly be blast them away, and then they would actually put markers out on the field, almost like it was a firing line, firing range even. So the idea was to make sure that you're firing the ones that need to be shot at. You were told you'd have like lines of like 10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters, 40 meters, and the soldiers were only instructed to shoot at the zombies once they'd hit the 100-meter line. I think it was 100 meters, it might have been 150. And so that way, you know, there's a really great bit where they're saying how they can see the zombies starting to come out of the forest, but they're instructed not to fire until they hit the 100-meter line. So everyone's like really nervous, like, oh my god, they're starting to come here, but you're not meant to fire, not meant to fire.
All right.
And so the second they step over that line, you fire, and that's to make sure that you're not wasting ammo. Like hopefully,
sounds good.
Everyone's firing a different target at that point, and you know which ones to prioritize. And then the battle lasts, I think it goes on for hours, because as you start firing, the noise travels, so they start to pull in, and then it travels a bit, and it causes almost like, it pulls in almost like a net of zombies, much like how it happens in this game actually. and it's saying how the battle goes on for hours,
Come on.
and like 8 or 16 hours or something. And at one point, like, there's just a wall of bodies
Yes.
formed up of just how as soon as they've crossed the line, they've been shot, and it starts to form up. So the zombies start coming up over them, and they shoot them again, and it just gets higher and higher and higher until eventually the zombies can't come over. And when they're having to clear them out at the end of the day, they're having to pull the bodies out to burn the zombie corpses, and they're having to be really careful because the chances are there's a couple of zombies that have stumbled, fallen into the wall of bodies, and they're not all necessarily dead.
I love it.
And it was, you know, just the amount of detail that went into why they chose this tactic, why they did it this way, why they chose formation, like the morale that came into it. None of that was touched on in the movie. Like, World War Z is one of those books where there's so much to it that they probably should have
All right.
just made it like a TV show or something. I know with Game of Thrones, he was approached. That's what I mean. He just fucking shot the barrel. Didn't tell him to. Sorry. I know he was approached to have Game of Thrones turned into a movie quite a while before it became a TV show. And as memory serves, and as my information is correct, he turned it down because it's like you wouldn't be able to cover everything in this book.
What? Excellent idea, sir.
In a single movie, which I totally believe. And I am kind of grateful with streaming services becoming more popular that you have the opportunity to tell more long form stories. Like Breaking Bad is one of the better long form stories ever made. You know, I know it's not for everyone. Breaking Bad is one of those ones where I absolutely adore it, but I'm not going to be offended if someone doesn't like it because it is slow and it's not for everyone. But just longer stories where you can get invested and it goes longer. There's just so much potential there, and there's so many old books and stuff that I'm just like, if you could. Especially if they've had a crappy movie made about them. If you could have like a TV show instead, okay, the budget is not going to be as high, but personally for me, the most important part is always the story. Like you can still watch old movies. Like the original Star Wars are still beloved despite the fact some of it hasn't aged particularly well. And just recently, actually, I've been watching some of I'd say Alfred Hitchcock. Stanley Kubrick, I think that's the one, who did like 12 Angry Men and Paths of Glory, black and white films. And obviously, you know, I think it's going to hold up. Even some of the acting is a bit corny because of the era it was set in, but it still holds up fine. And so I would much rather, for pretty much any medium, have a TV show with a lower budget, lower special effects, if it meant that I had more time with the story and the characters. That's just me, but I would like to think that most people would probably have that sentiment.
Okay. No fear.
And World War Z is one of those books that should have been made into a TV show.
Let's go.
As opposed to a movie. There's just so much to cover in it, and
this is for the Empire.
The way it's set out is like it's like the protagonist, if there is one, is basically just going around interviewing people after the war and telling their experiences. And the whole idea is that you're meant to build up a picture of everything that's happened through these very small interviews. And I'm sitting there thinking that gives so much creative liberty. If you wanted to turn that into a TV show, this one chapter, this one person says, which lasts like maybe 4 pages, you could turn that into an entire episode. And as well as that, because you're only seeing snippets and you're meant to fill in the blanks, you could literally tell all of the snippets, because the book, I don't remember how many words it is. I mean, it's not like Stephen King's The It level of behemoth. It's decent size, but it's not like just this absolute behemoth. It's not huge, but the war takes place over several years, but you don't get to see everything that happens. In fact, some countries you only get to hint at. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is perfect for a TV show. There is so much you could work with. Like, you could easily fill an entire 10 episodes, hour long each, first season, just with the zombies rising up, because there's so much to cover. And
Let's go.
they just went the easy way and just made a shit
So
film, and
glad
I'll
to
stop
do it.
complaining about it at some point. But it really bugs me. Like,
For the humans.
surprising enough, though, apparently I haven't played it, but apparently the World War Z game is meant to be quite decent. I've only seen a couple of people review it. I know G-Man Lives reviewed it, and a few other gaming
Great.
places. It's got bugs. I've heard it's got quite a lot of bugs there, but
I can
what
hear
they're able
them in
to
the
achieve,
distance.
it's one of those games where it just kind of came out of nowhere. And it's like, this is pretty fucking good actually. Out of an
All right.
incredibly mediocre movie.
I need to kill something.
Okay, so now we're going to start trying to clear these rooms. This one isn't too bad, but the one down here in particular didn't want to have to deal with without snipers.
Good
And
quality.
I always think that's an item. and
For
then
the
it's-
glory of Quintus.
Okay, I really hope I haven't missed anything. It's going to drive me insane if I have to. Access to kitchens. Please not disturb the cook until the end of the service.
My rifle is ready. Roy that.
Such a stereotype
Yes.
that cooks are chubby.
They're already dead. Let's go.
I probably should put them on hard.
For the
And,
glory of
I
Quintus.
mean, you can obviously kill these guys without Kalos if you just kite them on the sandbags,
I
but
hope
it's,
to become
might
a
as well just
general
wait. Like, there's
soon.
nothing in here, as I recall, that really helps you with the rest of it. It's mostly Empire points and research, so you might as well just leave it to the end for the snipers and do it quickly.
Yes.
Okay, that. That
Anything more?
little bastard hiding under there always catches me
This
off
would be
guard.
useful. Come on.
Right, and let's go check
I
this
need to
final
kill
room.
something.
Yes.
Hopefully I haven't missed anything marked. It looks as if there's 2 pickups
All
to
right.
the left that we haven't got.
Good
Let's start
Lord,
looking
to
down.
punish.
Ready.
So many
Actually,
targets.
move them a
Gotta
bit
find.
further up because they're wasting
Tell
time
me
trying
what to do.
realign the shots.
For the humans. This is going to be fun. What?
Now what, 22 minutes
I
actually.
still
Usually
have
it
some
takes
tricks
6
up
these
my
half an hour, so
sleeve.
that's quicker than it usually is. Maybe because I'm not taking so many stops.
I
Not
love it.
just going off
need
to
to kill
pace or do something
Let's
in the
go.
meantime. Right, so not choosing this, I mean, we do forfeit. There's probably a
Yes,
grenade in there,
what to
but
kill.
Yes, my
it's not
commander.
really worth wasting more time to it. And yeah, that looks like that's everything.
Interesting.
1 grenade! Woo!
Not
So
sure.
useful!
Let's do it. Yes? For
Right,
the
this mission's
Emperor.
done, and a cool 250 research points. That's going to make the next one a little bit easier for us. Now try to think a few things we want to unlock. Oh, let's go for what we got. City life, trouble in paradise. Several notable megacities have surpassed the 90 million population threshold, raising the alarm among distinguished scientists and scholars around the globe. Valencia Falco, an esteemed urbanization scientist, claims the viability of the model needs urgent attention. Left unchecked, life in megacities is headed for destruction, not a matter of years but a matter of months. At her recent talks, experts from various disciplines chimed in to support no, that is wrong. That's not me. That's the game. Climbed in support. No, chimed in. Fuck no. Okay, there should be a comma between the first in. Chimed in, comma, in support of her views. In fact, many believe that the influx of unsustainable life in cities has resulted in too many veritable wastelands, rural areas going fallow, becoming arid and being entirely depleted of nutrients to sustain any viable crops or wildlife. They believe life on Earth will soon be impossible. The government, on the other hand, maintains that these are alarmist activists whose views are unsubstantiated and that our current system is under control. They have no comment to the reports of unrest and riots on the rise in low-income neighborhoods attributed to a shortage of basic necessities. So that's 2096. This is 11 years after the first one, saying megacities now house 99% of world populations. Bit of an inflated figure, but this world's apparently like that. Hunter's Meadows. Right, we do not want to be doing this without some cereal farming. Right. And now I'm in a bit of a dilemma because I really want to rush plasma spheres. Having having shocking towers up earlier is always beneficial, but I'm not sure if we can go for some logistics. Meantime, I'm fairly certain you can, but as useful as this is, it's not necessary. So I'm gonna rush to get the shocking towers, so at least that way I know I have them, and then I can start working on the other stuff, which is more. It helps, especially going down these train routes. That's gonna be what I'm going after afterwards. But having the shocking towers, and soldiers, I guess. Oh, there's so much need to go. Let's rush to get the shocking towers. So we go for the advanced construction, which we're not actually going to build that for a while. I'm sure there's probably a smart way of doing it, but fuck it, it's not that important. These missions don't need that much. Like, we fuck this mission up if we make a cock up with mistake, not because of the tech. Literally, as I've just realised I would have loved to have had a 5th ranger. Whatever, we've committed now. We've committed. This one can be a pain in the arse. It's very easy to get spawned, so it's nice that we have that extra 20% ranger damage.
You are gonna pay me for this, right? Yes.
Just set up a few patrols.
Okay.
God, I
But
wish
it's
I had
gonna cost you
ranger.
double.
God damn it.
Okay.
Whatever, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. I'm good at this game, I swear.
The train has arrived at the station.
Train has arrived at the station. Okay. So we're gonna build the sawmill there. So we'll put one there. We're probably not gonna do too much expansion initially. Like, we want to get our walls up quite quickly on this one because there are a few mini swarms and we only have rangers to deal with them, and not many. So we want to probably get around the stone and then just wall it up, and then we're going to expand out. It's very easy to get overrun on this. I find these smaller maps tend to be more dangerous. In particular, there's one later on called the Lowlands, which is
building completed.
Already got quite a reputation of being brutal because it's a small map that's a little bit later on, and it seems as if the amount of zombies that would normally fit into a large map was just crammed into a small map. And literally so much as building a tent at the start is dangerous because they're so close to the start of your base. So we are going to play it try and play it safe. We still don't have any swarms coming up, any time limits, so we don't have to worry about anything other than just cocking things up. So we'll play it a bit slower and safer. No point taking any risks. So all it takes is one cheeky breeky trying to get through and spreading the good word of the Lord and Saviour for things to go wrong.
Attention, building completed. Attention, building completed. Attention, building completed.
Right. Let's push down there just so we can get that across. Fortunately, we're going to be getting a lot of wood anyway, so spending wood on the.
What? Gotcha.
A little bit further out. Spending a lot of wood resource on the walls isn't really a detriment. A lot of the times, I like to forego building the walls as long as possible because the wood can be so valuable early on, but in this case, it's fine.
You again.
The train has arrived at the station.
Okay.
What? You order,
Scout
you
out a
pay.
little bit of here.
Faster than my bow.
I hate these
You
ravens. Every time I see them on one, I think I catch it at the corner of my eye, and I think there's
Gotcha.
a zombie running to my
Let me
base.
put an arrow in his head.
Try and be.
You are gonna pay me for this, right?
Building completed.
Alright, I think if we build. Because we want a flat bit of that to actually
Better
get
be good.
across. And the more space we can grab early, the better.
Straight to the heart.
You fuck off.
Our
You
forces are in danger.
I hope you're not wasting my time.
Absolute cretin.
Gotcha. Taste my arrows.
Attention. Building completed. Attention. Building completed.
A little bit more wood.
Here we
Train
go
has
again.
arrived at the station.
Mine down. Give me a
Right
less soldier
between
center
the
and
eyes.
set clocks.
My bow is ready. Are you sure? Taste my arrows. Right between the eyes.
Okay. Fuck it. I'll do. I don't know if that's the best spot for
Any
it, but
task?
fuck it. Chuck it in the fucking bucket. Okay. Might be an idea if we put one more here, so we just get a little bit more space along here.
Okay.
I'm a little bit skeptical about doing that. About
Great.
a few more ranges in case
My
I draw
bow
some
is
unwanted
ready.
attention. So probably build a sawmill up here so we can get a bit more wood first, and start building our perimeter up. One like that. That should work.
You are gonna pay me for this, right?
Attention. Building completed.
Straight to the heart.
The train has arrived at the station.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Actually, that'll be.
Here we go again.
I'll curve it around.
Attention.
Fine.
Building completed.
This is where one of the biggest problems I come across when playing these types of games is
A new task.
half of my brain is going efficiency, the other half of going it doesn't look right, it's not aesthetically pleasing. And then I start building stuff that isn't
Our defense
necessarily the best idea,
Faster than my
isn't necessarily the
bow.
best defense, just because it doesn't look cool. I was really bad with it when I used to play June
Yes.
2000.
Units
Let
under
me put an
attack.
arrow in his head.
Oi oi oi,
What?
I saw this, I thought it
Take
was a
my
runner then, I had a
arrows.
panic attack. When I was building June 2000, a lot of times it's smart to
You
build
again.
just multiple turrets
Are you
by
sure?
the entrance, because that's where they're going to be coming from, so obviously you want to concentrate your fire, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, but it looks silly. I didn't need to delete, this is exactly what I was talking about. I was like, oh, it's in the wrong place, need to delete
better
it,
be good.
shouldn't have done that.
Gotcha. What?
My OCD
Yes.
knows no bounds. It would have actually been better to have a second line, but I deleted it because I'm an absolute cretin. But you know, it would be a case of, oh, I don't want to build it like that because it looks silly. And it's like, yeah, but
The train
if
has
it
arrived at the
works,
station.
that's the important thing. It's like, no. It's crap. Base looking crap. And I do often, because I spent a while when this game
Are
came
there
out
other
before,
units to bother?
trying to go for the leaderboards. I think the highest I ever got was like 5th or 6th, which considering most people right at the top were using cheats, I thought was a decent score. But you just end up getting into Sim City Builder, where you just spend ages trying to keep pausing and just trying to get everything just in the right space, just in the right hole. And I sometimes do that at the campaign. I'm just like, don't need to be doing this. Once this is over, you're never going back. There's no score. You just need to do the objective. And it's like, yeah, but it looks pretty. This is me talking to myself in my as of yet diagnosed schizophrenic conversations. Yeah, it's I get into such bad habits of just wasting time trying to make my, you know, I want a proper colony. I want it to make sure it can thrive after not there anymore. And I'm like, it's a fucking game. What are you doing? You're not really building colonies. Right. Let's hold off building some more because we've let our gold go way too high. So we
Train
properly
has arrived at the
mistake.
station.
And we should have had this up earlier to pump out ranges anyway. I've been putting too much into the walls. Okay, there is 4 spaces there, so I could put the wood workshop there.
A new task. You are gonna pay me for this, right? Okay.
This one you're probably going to want a lot of patrols on. There aren't as many choke points, and so you have to defend quite large areas, and there will be quite a few swarms that come in periodically, and it is very easy to just get overwhelmed, especially because one of the early
Trying
missions
to break through.
Great.
you tend to underestimate how much the swarm can do, and to do so is at your own detriment. You can absolutely fail this early on, even if you're good at video games, supposedly.
Faster than my bow.
And there's no shame in that. No shame in it whatsoever. I should have done that. I need to go. What am I doing?
You are gonna pay me for this, right?
They are attacking the colony defenses.
Are there other units to bother?
So we'll get our patrols up, we'll build a walls across here, and then once we expand out, we'll probably end up deleting that. What I find, because when I first started playing, and I think a lot of people do this as well, is you will have backup walls
Here we go again.
in case the first line of defense stops. Don't do that. Most people I think grow out of it quite quickly. The reason for it is that, one, you can always pause your game and make some temporary lines of defense anyway if things go wrong. But one, if the first line of defense goes down, your second line of defense doesn't mean shit. Like, you should have invested it in the first line of defense. Secondly, if you have a second line of defense, that space being used up that you could be using on actual infrastructure and economy buildings. So not only is that line of defense only ever going to be used if you've already cocked things up, which you should be doing in the first place, and probably would have been at least less likely to have happened had you invested them where you needed to. But by having that second line of defense, you have now given yourself less space to build other areas. So basically never have a second line of defense. I know it might sound counterintuitive, but it's just not worth it. Okay, let's build that up. Once, basically, you build a line of defense up, and then once you expand outwards, you delete it once you have that outer line.
This better be good.
That's the method that seems to work the best.
Oh, here we go again. A new task. My bow and arrows.
And as you said before, space comes at a premium in this game, so you do not want to be just having idle space doing nothing, but just having some wall there, which, if you do everything else right, is never going to be used. It's never going to see any damage anyway. There's just no point to it. Right, I need some more food quite desperately. I keep forgetting to build stuff. I think I'm trying to commentate as I go along, and my brain is just not capable of doing two things at the same time. So,
My bow and arrows
listen to
are
what
ready.
I'm saying, not what I'm doing. Do as I say, not as I do.
What? Yeah, you again. Yes.
Right, let's start doing a
My
wee bit
bow
of
is
clearing.
ready. What?
Ah, fuck it, I'll
Aren't
do
there
this.
other units to
Attention.
bother?
Close enough.
Building
Are you
completed.
sure?
Delete it again. What? Okay, this isn't just me being okay. It's a little bit more being but I always like to leave. When I make the tents, obviously you have them 2 by 2, and I always like to leave a gap when I come across one of these, so you can get people come through. I do want to use those spaces up, but we can use these bits up for now. Desperate for workers.
Let me put an arrow in his head. Taste my arrows. Let me put an arrow in his head. Oh,
Let's
here we
spread
go
them out a
again.
bit because we don't
Yeah.
want to cause them too much noise.
Attention.
The way noise
Building
works is that
completed.
the noise you generate
Our
is based
soldiers
on
are
the
in
tile that your
trouble.
character is in. So if you want to make less noise,
better be
because you
good.
don't want to be attracting the horde, spread them out. If you want to be making noise, so attracting the horde so they come to you to make them easier to kill, then put them in a blob. Is a good rule of thumb to keep in mind. Just double
What?
these up because I know
Okay.
that there are some cheeky ways.
Roger that. You are gonna pay me for this, right? Okay.
Okay, we've got those resources. Let's try and expand out
Straight
this
to the
way. Oh,
heart.
I thought it would have been so much smarter if I bought the soldier instead.
Train
Fuck
has
it.
arrived at the station.
Right between the
Why
eyes.
am I so bad at video games? Right, do we have... need more wood for that. Okay,
So tired. Last night was amazing.
let's build 4 rangers.
better be good.
Let's go to
Faster than my
workshop.
bow. Are you sure? Gotcha. My bow and arrows are ready.
Okay, get some farms up.
My bow
This
is
is
ready.
fertile land, so we get
What's
a
up?
little bit more
Any
food from that as
infected
well.
around?
Always nice. It is possible. I know some people. I spend a lot of time on the
What?
forums just
You again?
because
Okay.
I've got nothing else to do. Sometimes when I break at work or something, it's just nice to
Yeah.
troll through just to get my mind away from the
My
soul
bow and
drudgingness
arrows
of
are ready.
working life. But
Yes.
I know a lot of people were
You are gonna pay
complaining
me for this,
that
right?
The train has
oh,
arrived at the
you have
station.
to unlock farms to be able to do this mission.
What?
You don't. You can
Okay.
absolutely do this with just hunting cottages, but you will need to expand pretty much the borders and stick them
Great.
everywhere. You do not need farms to do this. It
This
just
better
makes
be
it a
good.
lot easier if you have them.
What?
And to be
Roger
honest, it should be the first thing you're
My
researching
bow
anyway.
and arrows are
I
ready.
mean, maybe the hunter's damage, but otherwise, get farms. There's no reason not to. It
You are
is your
gonna pay me for
primary
this,
source
right?
of
The
food.
walls are under attack.
Let's do this.
Aha! We're very fortunate
better
that
be
that's
good.
where we built our double walls, because that's where you've decided to attack first. Especially right now when manpower
other
is
units
a
to
Defenses
bother?
are
bit
being
limited.
attacked.
You again. Yeah.
Nah, you can stay up there, they got this. Unless they cause more noise, in which case
Okay,
they totally don't
let's
got
do
this.
this.
They are trying to break through.
Okay,
That's
my
what they
bow
don't
and
got this.
arrows are ready. This better be good.
Let's pull you
You order,
back a wee bit.
you pay.
They are attacking the colony defenses.
When you get the wood workshop and the stone workshop, the house upgrade comes automatically with it as well. This one, like I said, we've invested the points just so we have it fully. In all honesty, probably wasn't the smartest investment on
here we
my
go
behalf.
What?
It was not
Okay.
necessary to have it
It's gonna
just yet,
cost you double.
but
The train
I
has
like
arrived
to
at the
rush
station.
the tech that I definitely
sure?
know I'm going to need, and then focus on quality of life stuff afterwards. If I had been smart and actually done the math before making this stream, then I would have had to do that, but I wasn't. I don't have any excuses, I just wasn't.
You again? Is that all? So boring.
And especially if you're trying to play it on Nightmare or Apocalypse,
Faster than my bow.
early game you will need very specific
Yeah.
decks. And if you don't go for them, it will make the game not necessarily impossible, but you're making life so much more harder for yourself when you really don't need to. So try to be tactical with those decisions.
What? Are you sure? Aren't there other units to bother? A new task.
Attention. Technology research finished.
Alright, let's get
What?
farm up ASAP.
Our forces
Start
are in
getting a few more
danger.
workers
Okay,
because I
but it's gonna cost you
really
double.
want some more rangers. In fact, we could probably stop building, stop using that, get a few more rangers for that. We're not going to need any more stone. I doubt we're going to need to make
A
another
new task.
soldier centre. Our priority is going to be on
My
just expanding the
bow
colony,
is ready.
and
Are you
one's
sure?
probably going to be enough.
Great. Straight to the heart.
Ooh, that's a juicy
My bow
semi-airfield.
and arrows. What do you want now?
A little bit more.
Oh,
we're in a
more
bit.
orders. Okay.
Get to clearing, get to clearing.
My bow and arrows are ready.
Should we have some more reserve? Double should be fine.
Attention. Building completed.
Okay, it's gonna block that way, but it's fine.
The train has arrived at the station.
You again. Gotcha.
I'm keeping a
My
small
bow and
group
Units
arrows
under
because we
are
attack.
actually
ready.
kind of want them to draw a bit of
Roger
attention
that.
at the moment.
What? You are gonna pay me for this, right?
Just keep you there.
Attention. Building
Stop
completed.
this as well.
My bow and arrows are ready.
Oh, I probably should have spent that on a power thing, shouldn't I? Bugger it. Think, then do. Don't do, then think.
What do you want now? Yeah. Yes.
Attention. Building completed.
My bow and arrows are ready. What? Yeah.
Attention. Technology research finished.
You are
Go
gonna
for
pay
it,
me for
but
this, right?
I mean, we have the gold
Train
to
has
spare, it's
arrived
not
at
like
the
we're strapped
station.
for that, but there's just literally nothing to that.
Attention. Building completed.
Okay,
My bow and arrows are ready.
break those.
Our defenses are being attacked.
We're probably not going to need the stone quarry, but just in case we have a
So
change of front.
tired. Last night was
Attention.
amazing.
Building completed.
What? Gotcha.
They are trying to
Aren't
break
there other
through.
units to bother?
Keep a few more reserve, just in case.
You are gonna pay me for this, right? Taste
Block
my
those
They
arrows.
are
arrows.
attacking the colony defenses.
My bow and arrows are ready. What? Order? You pay.
The walls trains are under attack.
You call that a plan? A new task? You again? What? Okay. This better be good. Great.
Our defenses are being attacked.
My bow and arrows are ready. What?
They're fine.
Gotcha.
They're tough and independent.
What's up? Any
train
infected
has
around?
arrived
Seems
at
as
the
if they're
station.
mostly hitting from this side, so let's just focus those patrols here. Maybe just one or two of the other areas just in case,
Great.
but there seems to be, they seem to like this section.
My
One more
bow and
patrol
arrows
there,
are ready.
put the rest back to
You are gonna pay me for
expanding
this,
out.
right? Okay.
Yep, they're still doing fine.
What? Let me put an arrow in his head. Great. My bow and arrows are ready. Are you sure? You again.
They're not, I don't. That's gonna bug me
Attention.
so
Building
much.
completed.
It's gonna. It's not. I know it's not necessary, but that just irks me. That's it. It's irksome. I find it incredibly
My bow and
irksome.
arrows are ready.
The train has arrived at the station.
You again. You order, you pay.
Attention. Building completed.
I hate not being able to build them in.
This better be good.
Nice
My
double
bow
line
and arrows are
formations,
ready.
but do
What?
as we must.
Yeah. You
Let's
again.
have
Oh,
one
more
stay here
orders.
and start building.
Attention. Building completed.
Well, wait.
What?
Attention. Building completed.
Are there any?
You are gonna pay me for this, right? Great. My bow and arrows are ready.
Right. So double here. Start stretching this across.
You again. This better be good. You again.
Attention.
My
Building
bow and
completed.
arrows are ready.
The redheads. We don't build any more sawmills, do we? Nah,
This better be good. What?
we got enough wood from that.
My bow and arrows are ready.
Although I'm definitely feeling like the soldier centre on its second fort.
You again. Gotcha.
Attention. Building completed.
Allow us to get some. I mean, we've got stone coming
My
in
bow
anyway.
and arrows are ready.
If we expand this bit out, we could definitely start pumping out a bit more. We're gonna need this land to. We're gonna need windmills. What we're gonna need as well. I don't think there's gonna be any more space in here, is there?
The train has arrived at the station.
Of course, it's still a bit of food,
You order?
but actually,
My bow and arrows
They
are
are
ready.
trying to break through.
You are gonna pay me for this, right?
Jesus, they really like that section. That should be. Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll hold.
They are attacking the colony defenses.
I doubt.
What?
I doubt. I doubt very
Under
much.
It could be worse.
Oh, what the hell? Alright, let's be safe and delete these just in case.
My bow and arrows are ready.
Our defenses
What
are
the
being
fuck?
attacked.
A new task.
Why?
That a plan. This
Our
better be
soldiers
good.
are in trouble.
What?
They are trying to break through.
You are gonna pay me for this, right? What? Okay.
Just
You
gonna
are
have to
gonna
tank it a
pay
little
me
bit,
Our
for this,
ladies, I'm
buildings are
afraid.
being attacked.
Great. What?
Right, since you seem to really like attacking from this bit, we'll split them up into two.
My bow and arrows
The
are
second
ready.
group go up there to try and start clearing that out, and
You
then
are
let's just
gonna
clear
pay me
this
for
bit
this,
out
right?
because this is gonna only going to get more exacerbated as we go on.
The train has arrived at the station.
What?
It's annoying because there's some food up there. I'd like to nab that if I can. If it pleases
They
you.
are attacking the colony defenses. Attention. Building completed. Attention.
You are gonna pay me for
Building
this, right?
completed.
You again.
The walls are under attack.
What? Oh, here we go again. Gotcha. You again. What? Yes. You are gonna pay me for this, right? Right?
Our
Yeah.
forces are in danger.
Great
You
idea.
silly
No,
sausage.
I'm just kidding. I hope you're not wasting my time.
Roger that.
What's up? Any infected around?
Oh, I hate this. I hate this early on when you don't have warehouses and it's all filled up and there's nothing you can spend it on. It just gives me an aneurysm. Drives me to conniptions.
The train has arrived at the station.
Just make sure we've got power.
Gotcha. Oh,
Clear a
more
little bit
orders.
further out, and we'll go back up north.
Roger
In
that.
fact, just put
Straight
5
to the heart. What? Yeah.
to be patrolling this bit.
You are gonna pay me for this,
My
right?
bow and arrows are ready.
You
I'm pretty
again.
sure Swarm's coming off the edge of the map,
Gotcha.
but because it's causing so much noise, it's attracting some of the ones already on the map. So
What's
as long
up?
as we make a little
Any
bit of a dent in
infected
it, then we'll
around?
go back up north, because that's where we actually want to
Attention.
expand.
Building completed.
Now that we've already started.
Attention.
Great.
Building
Yeah,
completed.
What?
Knew I'd regret not taking logistics.
And
Our
attack.
defenses are being attacked.
Okay, let's do this.
The train has arrived at the station.
Gotcha.
Train has arrived at the station.
What? Are you sure?
Fresh meat for the grinder. And fire.
Units under attack.
They've before when this game came out, the Rangers, I mean the Rangers have always been good, but they weren't
You are
nearly as
gonna
good in
pay me
these
for
sorts of
this, right?
situations because it still happens to an extent. A lot of the time they used to waste all of their arrows on one zombie, and it still happens because you do
Attention.
have some travel
Building
time.
completed.
But they have updated it so that units don't tend to overkill as much as they used to, which makes them a lot more useful for a longer period of the game.
Great.
I mean, they never stop being useful, Rangers.
They are trying
because
to
the
break
ability
through.
to.
Roger
Oh,
that.
can you not? Can you just
Our
not?
colony is succumbing
Yes.
to the infection. Attention.
Oh, what?
Building
You pulled
completed.
that for plan.
What? Oh, piss off! You managed to hit him through that. So
They are
rude.
attacking the
Gotcha.
colony defenses.
You order, you pay.
The walls are
This
under
better
attack.
be good. Great. Yes.
Our defenses are being attacked.
Ah, it's because we freaking dragged them.
They
haven't
are
we,
trying to break through.
from earlier down
What?
there. Ah,
You again.
it'll be fine. Everything's fine.
My bow and arrows are ready.
What? Are you
Kindly
sure?
take them out so I can rebuild that second layer of clocks.
So, you
Just have
order,
a quick
you pay.
tross up here just to stop them from
Attention.
sneaking in.
Building completed.
My bow and arrows are
Starting to get
ready.
our worker count
You
up.
again.
Starting to really
Gotcha.
make
The train has
a
arrived at the
dent in
station.
clearing it out a bit. Just wish we had a bit more wood. Or a bit more
Attention.
means with which
Building
to store said
completed.
wood.
Attention.
You know what, let's
Building
actually...
My
completed.
bow and arrows are ready.
Let's
Oh,
not build another sawmill,
here we go again.
because we don't have the workers for it. Right, now for anyone who has OCD, I do apologise because it's going to be all over the place. I'm just going to fill it in anywhere just to try and make those numbers up.
Attention. Building completed. Attention. Building completed.
Oh god, this is annoying me as well. That's such bad
My bow
design.
and arrows are ready.
The train has arrived at the station.
Oh, I got a little gap. It goes fine.
What? You order, you pay. Aren't there other units to bother?
Still killing.
Attention. Building completed. Attention. Building completed. Attention. Building completed.
My bow and arrows are ready.
Attention. Building completed.
Let me put an arrow in his head. You are the king, right?
Start
My
going as well.
bow is ready.
Attention.
Aren't there other
Building
units to
completed.
bother?
Attention.
You are gonna
Building
need bow and
completed.
arrows are ready.
I'm going to want a little bit more power.
The train has arrived at the station.
Oh, more orders. You again. Gotcha. This better be good. Bow and arrows are ready.
They are attacking the colony defenses. Attention. Building
What's up?
completed.
Any
Okay.
infected around? Great.
Just in
The
case
walls are under attack.
we have any
My
trying
bow
to be
and arrows
sneaky.
are ready. Okay.
Just because we only have a single... Oh, speak of the friggin' devil.
Yeah.
Our
Any
defenses are being
Are you sure?
attacked.
As if on cue.
Okay, but it's gonna cost you double. You again. Great.
Our soldiers
Yeah.
are in trouble.
This better be good. What?
No! My first death.
My bow and
You're
arrows
gonna
are
Because I wasn't
ready,
paying
right?
attention. Fucking what? Come into zombies.
The train has arrived at the station.
She wanted it, really. Become one. The infection.
Attention. Building completed.
Right, build these across, then we can get another line across here,
My
line
bow
across
and
there.
arrows are
We use all
ready.
of this to build up
You
our
again.
colony, because I believe we need 600 colonists. We
Are
only
you
have
sure?
320 at the moment. But that should come. That'll be fine.
This better be good.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. What? Are you sure? My
Attention.
bow and
Building
arrows are
completed.
ready. Aren't there other units to bother? You again. Gotcha. My bow and arrows are ready. Yes.
In fact, might as well just keep them on patrol here. And then we should have all of our
My
patrols
bow
set
and
up.
arrows are
The
ready.
one we have formed from
What?
this point
Great
onwards
idea.
goes
No,
on the
I'm
murder
just
party.
kidding. What do you want now? Faster than my
Tasty
bow.
goodies stashed up there from the looks of it. So we'll leave a space just so they can
My
get
bow
through.
and arrows are ready.
Down here.
My bow and arrows are ready.
Attention.
What?
Building
Okay.
completed.
Okay.
Did I pick up
Attention.
that food to my plate?
Building completed.
I
My
Attention.
bow and arrows
Building
are ready.
completed.
You are going to
Attention.
pay me for this,
Building
right?
completed.
Are you sure?
Attention. Building completed. Attention. Building completed.
we're gonna go with yes. We're gonna go with yes. I'm fairly certain of it. Okay. Do that. And then whack away.
Oh, more orders. My bow and
And
arrows
let's
are
move
ready.
them up so they can
It's
meet.
gonna
Make sure
cost
we
you
don't attack me on the ranges, otherwise they're gonna
Train
shoot
has
each other.
arrived at the station. Attention. Building completed.
We should have actually checked the distance. Ah, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Oh,
Okay, let's
here
get
we
them.
go again. Great.
Should we just go on chase? No, because they're going to start splitting
Are
off.
you sure?
And I do not trust rangers because they don't survive very long.
Attention. Building completed.
Yeah, I should have put one space further up so I could have got another double layer in. And let's just
Attention.
upgrade it.
Building
If you want me to worry about it.
Attention. Building completed. Attention.
Better be
Building
Let's just get the
completed.
rest of you chasing for the rest of this game. Should be everything all fine and
Attention.
dandy.
Building completed.
Just need to build up our numbers and this mission
Building
should be done.
completed.
My
Attention.
bow and
Building
arrows are ready.
completed. Attention. Building completed.
Yeah, just let them kill, and once the train rolls in, this should be all completed. Wah.
My
So that's
bow
going to
and
get to like
arrows are
599 599 colonists, isn't that? Bet you anything.
ready. Oh,
They are
more
trying to
orders.
Oi!
break through.
Oi, 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 oi.
Okay, but it's gonna
What
cost
you
you
doing?
time.
Building completed.
You got a license for that?
They are attacking the colony defenses.
My bow and arrows are ready.
And with luck.
The train has arrived at the
Oh my
station.
god, that wasn't it. Must I haven't built anything. that was no increase
Building
whatsoever.
completed.
Okay. My bow and arrows are
Let's
ready.
let's just build a line up here. Oh,
My bow and
Building
arrows are ready.
let's just overlap the farms a little bit. Whatever. We got enough food. We got food for days.
You are gonna pay me for this, right? My bow and arrows are ready.
Attention. Building
My
completed.
bow and arrows are ready.
Attention. Building completed.
What? A new task.
And just leave them to do their job.
Attention.
My bow
Building
and arrows
completed.
are ready.
Attention.
My
Building
bow and
completed.
arrows are ready.
The train has arrived at the station.
Knew it. 594.
Attention.
You
Building
bloody bum.
completed. Attention. Building
My
completed.
bow and arrows are ready. My bow and arrows are ready.
Attention. Building completed.
This better be good.
Okay,
I hope you're not wasting
It's-
my
it's-
time. My
there's
bow
no
and
point.
arrows are
Attention.
ready.
Building completed.
My bow and arrows are ready. You call that a plan?
Attention. Building completed.
My bow and arrows are ready.
There we go. Very, very anticlimactic end sort of thing. With all the colonist ones, where it's like build a certain amount, it just eventually happens. There's no glory to it. The weapons factory and swarm. Now, this swarm is an asshole. There's a lot of players because they end up doing the Hunter's Meadow before that, because they see, oh, Village of Doom, and they get scared and do this. And it's like, oh, this is the first swarm, it's difficult, well, I'm going to do it. Do not do this straight away. This swarm is very hard, it will kick your ass. We are going to clear a lot of other missions before we come back to this. For the time being, we're going to do the weapons factory, try and get some points that way. What do we need? Weapon loading. See, I don't know if I do that, if it's gonna make a difference with the way I animation cancel it or not. Trying to think. How much damage do you need to kill an executive? That's plus 40%. That's pretty useful actually. I think we'll go for that. We'll see if that's enough to kill the executives. Good, because normally he takes 2 shots and that's a pain in the ass. If we can kill an executive in 1 shot, that's fine. But we don't need any more damage. So we'll go for that. That's not going to be enough, is it? I'm pretty sure executives have 70 health, but they also have armor. I think Kalis does a little bit of AoE. I'm not sure if that gets counted onto the same target or not. There's no attack damage. There's only attack damage up this way. Fuck it, let's go for the attack damage. Hopefully that'll be enough to one-shot an executive. I don't think it will be, but let's be optimistic. And if nothing else, it puts us... No, it doesn't even put us closer to that because I went the other way. Fuck. Whatever, it's not important. It's not important. It's how you play the commanders. Stats ain't important.
Commander? Of course.
Alright, and this one, as I recall, is a little bit of a bitch.
Silent.
Just how much you have to clear.
Come on. For the
But at
human.
least it gives us a few tools to make it a little
Alright.
bit easier.
So glad to do it.
For the human. Let's try and clear them out a bit quicker.
For the
Do
Empire.
a sweep of the outside
So
first if there's any
glad to do
grenades or any medkits to help the clearing a bit easier.
Okay.
There's a lot of
The party
tools to help
has
you
just
through this
begun.
mission, so it's not
So
necessary,
glad
but
to do it.
there's so much to
That's
clear that if
easy.
you can get a nice grenade and a big blob,
No
it's just gonna make it so much
fear.
quicker.
Yes,
Alternatively, if you mess things up a bit, as I am wanting to do,
of course.
it's a nice get out of fail free card if you have some grenades on you.
I love it. For the Empire. Yes.
Right, what do we have on the signage? Weapons factory, attention, restricted access, authorized personnel only. Trucks and helicopters must report
All
to
right.
access control.
Silent and lethal. Let's kill the enemies of the Empire.
Yeah, I
Of
find you
course.
have to make
For
a
the
few
Empire.
games when you're clearing out all of this. I mean, it's a bit like the Crypt of the Necrodancer. You have to try and get into the rhythm. That keeps you a bit more entertained. Otherwise, you'd probably just fall asleep. But trying to see how many you can kill with a single shot. I think 3's my best so far.
They're already dead. Those heads are calling for a bullet. For the Empire. Anything more? I still have some tricks up my sleeve. Perfect. Come on.
Oh god, there's nothing down here but more zombies.
No problem.
You thought it was a present, it was just more disappointment.
Okay. Those heads are calling for a bullet. So glad to do it. Ready. For the humans!
We're doing 70 damage, the runners I think are 45, so we're doing 50 though, aren't we? So that's why you can do it in one.
What? For the Empire.
We'll see, there's no point trying to think about it.
For the
Figure
Empire.
out pretty soon anyway. Wherever I've just wasted a skill
For the
point
humans.
this early on. I mean, as long as wasting skill points is fine, as long as you don't waste the
dead.
research points. I think that's the most important one.
Yes.
What you want to do is try and open this one first. Sector C, automatic weapons have been placed to contain
For the
infected.
humans.
Because this has a number of turrets, and it's nice to have a fallback zone in case things
Of
go a
course.
wee bit petong.
Nice. Yes.
So what we're going to do, make a little bit of noise and try and draw them
No
over, and then
fear.
hopefully the constant
Yes.
stream of the Gatling fire will keep them bringing in. Just going to make it a little bit quicker for us to clear. And but we
could
also
be a
got the
trap,
grenades
but
because of this
let's go.
fuckery.
Come on. Silent
Silent
and lethal. That's easy. For the Empire. Come on. All right. Let's kill the enemies of the Empire. Yes.
I find once I have a little bit more health and armor, I don't mind
Sounds good.
barrels, but the risk of losing a playthrough, not losing a playthrough, but you know,
Great.
risk of getting killed and having to redo the whole damn thing just for
Come on.
a little benefit, it's just not, it's just not find it worth it, to be honest.
For the glory of
Right, let's
Quintus.
get everything shooting. We're gonna open up the other door as well and try and lure as many to the turrets as we can. And thankfully, because these are active now, just any random
I hope
wanderers
not
that go
to
through this
find a
way will
Harpy
kill. So we're
here.
going to try and avoid
Let's
clearing
go.
much more out of this, because we just want to let the turrets do work
Great.
and we'll hopefully come
The
back later.
party has just
Have
begun.
a lot cleared out for
Come
us.
on. That's easy.
It's probably going to be an idea to try and do this
Let
one
me
first,
blow up
because
some
it's for the
heads.
runners, so
So glad to do it.
priority to clear.
I still have some tricks up my sleeve. Yes. For the Empire. Let's go. For the humans. Great. For the Empire. Silent and lethal. Nice.
Apparently, despite the fact that there is a big bunk
No
bed,
fear.
Kalos can't shoot through it.
This is going to be fun. Okay.
Those newfangled
No
solid bunk beds.
fear. For the Empire. For the humans! All right. They're already dead. For the Empire. Let's kill the enemies of the
Yeah, but
Empire.
let's just tank a few.
All
here.
right.
Let's try and clear out a little
So
bit quicker.
glad to do it. For the Empire. So glad to do it. Perfect. For the Empire. Of course.
Oh, yeah,
For the glory of Quintus.
bad touch.
All right. The party has just begun. Okay.
Ow. It's fine.
Let's go. All right. Excellent idea, sir. Of course. Those heads are calling for a bullet. Anything more?
That's the only annoying thing also is if you
Let's go.
with the AoE being a bit so
Let
small
me
that you
blow up some
can't
heads.
always predict when it's going to happen. I find I usually misclick because I'm trying
That's
to
easy.
do a quicker click to get something taken out
So
and
glad to do it.
completely miss it. I mean, it's nice the
They're
AoE's there
already
because it
dead.
would take even longer otherwise, but it's very
the
inconsistently
Empire.
applied. Or maybe my eyes
Great.
just don't work and I don't see the
For
radius
the
as well.
humans. Perfect.
Okay.
Those heads are calling for a
Don't even
bullet.
remember what was down here.
Let's kill the enemies of the Empire. For the Empire.
For the middle ones to clear them out a bit quicker.
So glad to do it. All right. For the humans. Okay. Come on. Perfect. Come on. Come on.
And if memory
Interesting.
serves, round
Come
here
on.
is one of the more fucking annoying
The more the
collectibles that
merrier.
you can miss.
Anything more? That's easy.
Why don't you go up?
Excellent idea, sir. You made my day. I
Oh,
love
actually, pretty sure this says anti-infected mines test. Mines will only activate when infected blocks open. Yes, let's open
it. No
this
problem.
one up first, just in case we get a bit swarmed.
Sounds good.
Let's try and get their attention.
All right. Come on, the infected are waiting. All right. Perfect.
Oh, perfect.
Silent
What you need for an executive
and
test. But is
lethal.
it enough?
I hope not
Yes!
to find a Harpy there.
Oh,
The
yes.
party has just begun.
Thank goodness.
Yes. For the Empire.
Being able to take executives out much. That was actually a very
No
useful
fear.
point then. Being able to take executives out
still
when
have
they
some
show up
tricks
too
up my
is
sleeve.
so helpful.
No fear. For the glory of Quintus. Let me blow up some heads. Understood. For the Empire. Perfect. No fear.
Anything else in here? No, all
Understood.
looks clear.
For the Emperor. Yes. For the humans!
My
Come on!
camera.
Sounds good.
What was it they used to call it in Call of Duty? The
Let's
raid
go.
train? When you got a string of zombies together,
Yes.
you were running around in circles just so you could gun them down.
The party has just begun. For the glory of Quintus.
Split off into two groups, so...
Okay.
Oh, no, they got contracts
For
that.
the humans.
How many more are there?
Let's go.
I find the later ones,
Let's
it usually
kill
ends
the
up just
enemies of the
having to do
Empire.
one at a time, because you
All
can't
right.
get a group.
Okay.
But, okay, 2 shots,
the Empire.
followed by a mine.
Nice.
Definitely be able to get a second shot off though.
Perfect.
Oh, one shot?
I still have some tricks up my
Is it
sleeve.
one shot followed by a
Let's
mine?
go. Come on.
It is one shot followed by a mine. Nice.
Perfect. For the Empire! For the glory of Quintus. Okay.
I do wish they changed it so that the
Come
heroes
on.
didn't when you have just one unit
They're
and you're
already
controlling them
dead.
for like half an hour or more,
I love it.
don't have them just constantly
All
saying
right.
one of their like 12 dialogue lines, because it gets
Fast
really
and
old really
silent.
quick.
Of course. Great. Yes. That's easy. All right. Wonderful. For the Empire. Perfect. Interesting indeed.
Let's play Pixel Hunt.
Yes.
Oh, bloody hell. This was the map first time coming through when they didn't have any flashing signals. I spent 70
This
minutes
is
trying to
nice.
find the last one.
I hope not to
And
find a
after 70
Harpy
minutes, it's
there.
like, "Nah, I'm done. I'm done. I don't care that much for the last 10 points. Attention, the base command has succumbed to the infection. Infected are
Excellent
highly
idea, sir.
dangerous.
Of course. So glad to
Fuck
do it.
you and your eyebrows too.
Let me blow up some heads. Not sure, but let's do it. Perfect.
Can we keep their attention all the way a bit? No, see, they're gonna start
Yes.
flaking off.
All right.
Absolute flakers. Right, can we get an angle to start generating
Excellent
a little
idea,
bit?
sir.
There we go. There we go.
Silent and lethal. Yes.
Come on, come on.
Those heads are calling for a bullet. For the humans. So glad to do it.
Someone stepped in a mine somewhere, didn't they? Just saw the screen shake.
Perfect. No fear. For the Empire. Let's kill the enemies of the Empire. No
Made a few more
fear.
friends than intended. Click,
They're already dead.
click.
For the Empire. For the humans. I love it. Let's go. For the humans. Okay.
I can't
Let
help
me
but think.
blow up some
like,
heads.
They always call them infected in this game. The
So
killing animation
glad
shows the
to
head
do
being
it.
blown off. I don't think the quote-unquote
So
zombies in
glad
this
to do
game
it.
are zombies in the traditional sense. I don't
Silent
think they
and
require headshots to kill. It's more like the
All right. Those heads
28
are
Days
calling
Later
for a
infected, or
bullet.
the
Understood.
Resident Evil the game infected, where it's just caused a lot of trauma to the body.
For the Empire.
Because landmines
on.
would not do shit to a zombie under most circumstances.
No fear.
Obviously, it's a steampunk adventure. Maybe the way that these landmines works a bit
The
different.
party has
But
just
again,
begun.
just bringing it back to World War Z and just kind of common sense. If you have
I
to
still have
destroy the
some
brain,
tricks up my sleeve.
landmines aren't going to help. Especially
For
not if
the
you have like a
humans.
claymore or something like that. A lot of the time they're almost like fragmentation grenades, but directional.
For the Empire.
Obviously you can get the larger anti-tank mines, but for the most part, mines were designed to cripple, and they're going to cause a lot of damage, like take your leg off or something. They are not going to destroy the brain. So I can only, I mean, I don't, it doesn't really say all that much, but I imagine if you have flamethrowers and grenades and stuff, it's more just about, and the fact that we don't know much about the infected, but
I love it.
I imagine in this in-house universe rules, you don't need a headshot because a landmine is not going to be damaging the brain in the slightest.
No.
I'm pretty sure it actually came up in World War Z at some point about how you shouldn't use landmines, because all that's going to happen is that you're going to cripple the zombie, and now you have a zombie that's crawling around on the ground, which can be a lot harder to spot, particularly in dense, like long grass or whatever. And it's probably just going to exacerbate the situation when we make it there. And that's how much effective. Now we begin the long hunt for all the remaining points we have, of which there's quite a lot. I don't know. I know there's usually a cache up here, and I think it's usually just grenades. I don't know if... I'm pretty sure it's usually grenades when I've done it before. I don't know if there's a chance that it might be one of the points up there.
Okay.
You know what, bugger it, we're going to leave that till last, because I don't want to be
This is going to be fun.
taking forever doing this.
Let me blow up
If
some
we haven't
heads.
found it by the time we clear everything else out, we'll check up there.
Let's kill the enemies of the Empire. I still have some tricks up my sleeve for the humans.
And let's be a little bit careful about these mines,
For the
in case
Empire.
they activate whilst we're near them.
Those heads are calling for a bullet. Interesting. Come on. Come on. Let's go.
Around here, then,
Those heads
be.
are calling for a bullet.
Let's check that bit out.
For the Emperor.
Can we quickly run up and make it?
Units
Of
under
course.
attack.
Oh, that's probably more dangerous than
No
means to be.
fear.
Oh
Yes.
shit, we didn't have any grenades. Yeah, that was really dumb. Alright, I don't
For the Emperor.
think anything else that's in
Let's
there
go.
is likely to be a pickup.
Great.
So
The
let's just
party
ignore that
has
for now. We'll
just
come back
begun.
if we
For the Empire.
need to, but hopefully
All
we
right.
don't need.
For the Empire. So glad
I'm
to
just
do
going to try
it.
and skip all the areas where I don't think it's
So
likely that the
glad to
giants
do
will
it.
spawn. And I'm fairly certain all of this stuff up here is usually just for like medkits and grenades and that, which I don't think
still have some
we really
tricks
need
up
too
my
much on this
sleeve.
mission. Most of it can be cleared out just with
No
point and clicking.
fear.
And obviously grenades were always
For
nice,
the
but
humans.
a lot of the areas... Grenades are nice when you open a
For
door
the
and there's a big
Empire.
wad of them that you can just fuck up. But usually when you're clearing an area
They're
slowly,
already dead.
because you're generating noises, you're gonna see
Let
a stream
me
of them
blow up
rather
some
than a big
heads.
wad of them come at you. So
Let's
to actually
kill
get
the enemies
efficient
of
use
the
out of grenades
Empire.
isn't actually that
Understood.
easy
That's easy.
in any situation other than open the door, oh shit, there's tons of them. So there's not, I don't think clearing that out to get the grenade, I think it would still take
Okay.
quite a bit longer to do that than just to ignore the area entirely.
For the humans. So glad to do it. Come on.
Okay, hopefully the best of points are down from this way. Sector A assembly line. Protection elements manufacturing, please do not climb on the conveyor belts while the machines are running.
Of course.
Oh, speak of the devil with
Let's
opening
go.
up. Come on, turrets, let's do your work.
Come on, the infected are waiting. For the humans. Yes. Silent and lethal. I still have some tricks up my sleeve. Not sure, but let's do it. No fear. For the Empire. That's easy. No fear.
Get a couple of multi-kills, shall we? Speed
For the
this
Empire.
up a wee little bit.
The party has just
Our soldiers
begun.
are in trouble.
Let me blow up some heads. Let's kill the enemies of the Empire. Those heads are calling for a bullet. So glad to do it. Let's go. Of course. For the Empire. They're already dead. For the humans. Interesting. Come on. Let's kill the enemies of the Empire. No fear. Let me blow up some heads. So glad to do it. So glad to do it. All right.
Ooh.
All right.
So I mean, they come
For
more
the
as
Empire!
streams as opposed to a big lump, so even if I had
No
grenades, it's
fear.
not really going to speed the process up at all. It's more just taking
For
your
the
time.
Empire.
What they should have been doing in The Walking Dead, rather than just rushing into
No
places to get
problem.
themselves killed. I don't know what it is. Like, I have this
I
debate.
still have some tricks up my
with people that are close
sleeve.
to me, in that when I'm watching something, I would much rather
Of
the
course.
characters behave realistically and
The party
them still
has
fail
just
regardless of
begun.
that. I really hate it whenever you're watching any kind
Come
of show
on.
and the conflict arises because of the incompetence of the characters.
course.
Especially
For
when,
the
if up
humans.
to that point, the character has been shown to be highly
For the
competent,
humans.
and their sudden onset of incompetence happens purely to progress
already
the plot
dead.
along. It's just smacks of lazy
For
writing,
the Empire.
and it's like with the
Those
Walking Dead
heads
universe.
are
Like at this
calling
point,
for
they've
a
been in a
bullet.
zombie-infested hellhole for just
Come on.
how long? Years, is it? And I remember once they want
Not
to clear out
sure,
a basement,
but let's do
and
it.
there's like water in the basement. It's like, all right, we're gonna use trolleys to
Silent
go in there,
and lethal.
and
Let's go.
use the trolleys to keep the infected away while
Silent
trying to get their
and
things. It's just
lethal.
like they know that they're infected in there. It's like,
course.
oh, instead of just killing them, we're gonna use
No
the trolleys to keep them at bay
fear.
whilst we get the stuff. It's just like, you have a crossbow, you don't need to make noise.
I
Fuck it, you
still
can
have
put
some
a
tricks
really
up my
something
sleeve.
sharp, especially because
Of course.
zombie heads in the Walking Dead universe
the
are made of tissue
Empire.
paper. Just put a knife on the end of a stick and stab them. Why would you go down there into something that is so clearly dangerous and stupid and risk yourself? And oh, what happens? Someone gets
For
burned.
the Empire.
And this is at the point in the story when I think the zombies have been
So
around for at
glad
least 2
to do
years,
it.
and it's like,
Come
if you're
on.
pulling shit like this all the bloody time, how the hell is any of you still
are
left?
calling for a bullet.
There wouldn't be anyone still
Okay.
left. Like, you would do
Let me blow
like
up
it's
some
doing now.
heads.
You would go in
All right.
and you would try to pull them out. And what it could be is that you're doing this for so many hours
the
that someone gets
Empire.
bored and complacent, and then they make a mess up just because of
course.
the fact of the endurance of the matter. But when they
For
just
the
make
humans.
such dumb, illogical decisions
Our
and
forces
that's
are
why
already
things go wrong,
dead.
it's just like,
Yes.
I'm already having to suspend my disbelief to believe
The
in a world where
party
there's zombies.
has
Like,
just
you are
begun.
really stretching it with retarded
For the
characters as well.
humans. So glad to do
So
it.
I don't mean to just keep beating on about how bad The Walking Dead is, because the
For
first
the
season was
Empire.
genuinely pretty good.
Let's
and
kill
then
the enemies of the Empire.
You can tell that there's more than one writer, because every
The
season has
party
some bits that are
has just
fantastic, and
begun.
it's just like, what the fuck are you doing?
I still have some tricks up my
And I don't know if
sleeve.
there's like one writer that's
For
writing all
the
the good stuff and the
Empire.
rest are writing all the bad stuff, because
This
if there's
is
5
going to
writers, that would be
fun.
a correct ratio, or
Let
whether they're
me
just
blow up
throwing
some
shit
heads.
at a wall and seeing what sticks. But it's just,
That's easy.
it's very disheartening, especially because they had such great
For the
source material
Empire.
originally. And to try and
Not
not be
sure,
accused of just
but
copying the
let's do
book,
it.
they'll just change it ever so slightly. It's like, oh, instead
Those
of that,
heads
this
are
thing happens
calling
instead,
for a
or
bullet.
this character dies instead of that character dies, even though the way that the character
No
dies is the exact
fear.
same, but it's a different character, so look how unique we are, and it's like, fucking hell.
They're already
How do you have
dead.
such great source material and still mess it up that bad?
Silent and lethal.
I Game of Thrones did it as well.
So glad to do it. For the
Like, I always think,
humans!
okay, when you adapt to something, yes, you need to adapt, but I think the bigger part of an adaptation is knowing what you don't
No
need to change.
fear. All right.
And also,
For
if
the
you
Empire.
know that fans have perhaps
Fast
predicted how
and
your show is going to go, not then changing
For
it
the
at the
humans.
last minute because you want to seem intellectually
kill the
superior. And
enemies
it's
of
like,
the
oh, you didn't see
Empire.
this coming. It's like, yeah, I didn't see this coming. It's
All right.
fucking dumb.
So
Because it's
glad to
really
do it.
illogical. That's bad writing. That's not
For
something to be
the
proud
Empire.
of.
Those heads
It does seem
are
a lot of
calling
times
for a
people are more
bullet.
interested in subverting an audience's expectations than delivering
No
a good story.
fear.
No.
Units under attack.
For the Empire.
Like, I've been trying to write
For the Empire.
a couple of stories. One I've been going back to
Let
now
me
for
blow up
quite
some
time.
heads.
And I keep going back and forth. It's like,
Perfect.
oh, does that make sense? Like,
Let's
first of all, it's
kill
like,
the enemies
oh,
of the Empire.
the ending to the story is very
That's
unconventional, and people probably won't be satisfied. And it's like, oh,
All
but
right.
unconventional is good. It makes people have to think. It's a
Excellent
bit different.
idea,
And it's
sir.
like, yes, but is it as satisfying? And I keep going back
So
and forth
glad to
between
do
that,
it.
and it's. It'd be nice if people who write for multi-million dollar
course.
shows stop going with the first draft. Is all I'm saying.
Let's go.
Right, how many points we got left? 20 more Empire points, 90
All
more
right.
research points. I'm praying it's going to be in here because I don't want to have to start searching this whole
I
place
still
for it.
have some tricks up my sleeve. Not sure, but let's do it. Come on.
Yay.
The party has just begun. Nice. They're already dead. Let's go.
Office of the operator. Do not disturb while the
All
machines
right.
are running.
Silent and
So that's a use grenades here, but we can't because we literally don't
for
have
the humans.
Oh,
Of course. No fear.
it's not all going to be in here, is it? Some of them
Yes.
going to be the areas that I've skipped. God,
For the humans.
fudging damn it.
Perfect. That's easy. So glad to do it. Let's go. For the Empire. Perfect. The party
clear
has
these bad
just
boys out.
begun. Silent and
We might be
lethal.
lucky actually. If memory serves,
course.
filing cabinets tend to. Okay, none of them. Apart from that
This is for the Empire.
one. Oh god.
Priceless. All right.
Right,
Wonderful.
let's go exploring. And we've checked that bit. Checked up here. Checked out there. Usually that lamp, or there's something around there you can pick on, but not this time.
Okay. No fear.
Just have a quick perusal of the episode we've gone over, just in case I've missed them. I don't think so. I think it's likely to be up here or around there. So let's just make a
Alright.
beeline for it.
Let's kill the enemies of the Empire. Let's go.
There's only 2 more to pick up.
Let
so
me
it's
blow
entirely
up some
possible it's
heads.
over there.
Sounds good. All right. Understood. They're already dead. Of course. For the Empire. Fast and silent. Those heads are calling for a bullet.
What's there?
So glad
Our
to do it.
soldiers are in trouble.
Oh,
This is going to be fun.
Can you fucking
For the
not?
humans. I still have some tricks up my sleeve. So glad to do it. For the humans! No fear!
Also, another pet peeve I have with zombie movies.
For the Empire!
And The Walking Dead is awful for this.
So
awful.
glad to do it!
You establish quite early
So
that
glad to do it!
you can
For
only
the
kill the zombies
Empire!
with the shot to the head. And there's always a really
Let's
big point in
kill
The Walking
the
Dead that the
enemies of the
ammunition is low,
Empire!
that you need to conserve the ammo, so a lot of time they use
They're
knives and stuff.
already dead!
Why the fuck do they sometimes just start firing full auto into a horde of zombies? You want to be firing
For the
single
Empire.
shots, one at a time. Like, I
still
could
have some
forgive
tricks up
a
my
3-round
sleeve.
burst if you're shit
For
at
the
aiming,
humans!
but even then, why
Right.
not fire single rounds? Why would you ever need to fire burst fire?
No
It's
fear.
not like you have time. They are marching very
For
slowly
the
at you.
humans!
It's the ammunition that is most precious. Just
No
back.
fear!
No, Alex.
Let's go!
Fuck you. It just irks me
Right.
beyond belief when stuff like that happens. It's also when you watch old action movies, because we've
Could
gotten
be a
so
trap,
used
but
to
let's go. The party
seeing it
has
nowadays whenever
just
people
begun.
fire a gun, like
Sounds
John
good.
Wick's, you actually hold them up to your shoulder because you know you need to aim down their
Those
sights to see what
pets
you're
are
shooting at.
calling
And
for
you
a
go back to
bullet.
like the golden age of action
For the
movies, you know, firing from
humans.
the hip, and it's just like, how are you hitting
For the
anything?
Empire!
What I don't understand, more because I've gotten into it recently
Let
through
me
YouTube
blow up
watch,
some
and also
heads.
because of Game of
Those
Thrones
heads
failing it
are
in the
calling
later
for a
seasons,
bullet.
is
No
sword realism.
fear!
Now we have, okay, obviously it's
For the
larger than life, it's
Empire.
not 100%
Silent
accurate, but it's at least genuinely authentic. When
For
you
the
have
Empire.
gunfights and
Empire.
whatnot, they tend to look how you would actually look when you're firing a gun.
Let's
you
kill
use,
the
like,
enemies of the
special
Empire.
forces. You hold them up to your shoulder, you fire down
For
sights
the
with them,
humans!
and that tend to. I find that
So
kind of
glad
extenuated
to do
onto fistfights in movies.
Let me
With
blow up
the
some
rise
heads.
of mixed martial arts becoming so a lot more popular,
the
and
humans.
the general audience understanding, okay, this is a Kimura,
They're
this is a
already
guillotine
dead.
choke, this is, you know, these are moves that would do this to
The
you, so you
party
can have more
has
grappling and
just
fights.
begun.
I find that a lot more
No
fighting has
fear.
become a lot more realistic,
So glad
and
to
I
do
think
it.
it's really good for that. But for some
still
reason, I
have
think
some
it's
tricks up my
because
sleeve.
people don't know how they were fought. Sword fighting in
heads
movies
are
is still
calling for a bullet.
really
No fear!
unrealistic. It's just not at all
No
representative of what it would
fear.
be. And to an extent, I can understand that
Come on,
because
the infected are
when
waiting.
you're fighting with a blade, I mean, you're looking at.
Nice.
Oh my god, no! Where's this last item?
Yes.
Right, I will entertain you with
So glad to do it.
waffling tangents while I try and figure out where the fuck these items are. You know, when you're fighting with a sword, it's often just a matter of an inch or so that makes the difference
So
between making
glad
the cut.
to do it.
And I find that the early seasons of Game of Thrones were really quite good at it. If you have full plate mail armor, you are not getting
I
a blade
still have
through
some
full plate
tricks
mail
up
armor.
my
It's
sleeve.
literally just thick metal.
Excellent idea, sir.
Like, have you ever tried opening, like, if ever you don't have a can opener, have you ever tried opening like a tin of beans or something with a knife? It does not go well. It really doesn't. So it doesn't matter how impressive your sword is, it's not going through full plate mail. It just isn't happening. And a lot of the earlier scenes in Game of Thrones, particularly when Tyrion's on trial and they're doing the fight in the Eyrie, they make an effort of Bronn is constantly backing up and moving back. Ah, yes.
I hope not to find a
And
Harpy.
when he does finally strike, he has to strike in the straps in between the armor. He has to like go for the back of the leg or areas which aren't protected, which traditionally wouldn't have been protected.
Anything more?
And then by the later season, you have Arya Stark out-dueling Brienne of Tarth and deflecting a what looks like to be big enough to be a claymore or
It
bastard
could
sword,
be a trap,
a pretty
but
hefty sword,
let's go.
two-handed sword
All right.
looked like, with
Come on.
A rapier, I think, is probably the closest comparison it would be, and it's just like, if you
Interesting.
try to
Come
do
on.
that, Brienne's sword would just knock you out of the fucking way, and
Of course.
it just irks me. Like I said, there's Shadowversity on YouTube,
Perfect.
is really good for it. Skellingram's another really good one, and there
Sounds
is
good.
a third one whose name escapes me at the moment.
Come on.
Quite frequent. Oh, please be the remaining item. Please be the remaining item. And I just don't understand it. It's audiences, I feel, reacted quite well when gunfighting became more realistic, and they acted quite well when hand-to-hand combat became more realistic.
Looks
So,
worth
fuck
taking.
you.
Of course.
So why not make sword fighting more realistic as well? It just doesn't make any sense to me not to do that.
Interesting. Come on. All
I
right.
mean, maybe there's a couple of movies out there that do sword fighting really well. I'm
It
sure there's
could
a
be a
couple
trap,
of like
but
little
let's
known
go.
ones. So if you do
Yes.
know of any, let me know, because I'm very interested in that. And just point out for people who's feeling like
Units
this
under
this
attack.
right here is what
Of
you need to do.
course.
Because
They're
it's
already
quite
dead.
interesting if ever you look on
For the Empire.
like sword or polearm spar fighting online. Obviously, if you're in a
Okay.
full battlefield and you have formations and whatnot, the way that they fight would be different.
I
but
hope
it's
not to
just
find a
not.
Harpy there.
I mean, it's what you'd expect, isn't it? It's not choreographed. It's not flashy. It can be very messy and all over the place.
All right.
But when you're trying to predict an opponent,
the
that's what it's going to be
humans!
like. If you've watched any kind of MMA fight or boxing fight or anything like that, it's never choreographed, because that's the whole point, is you're trying to feint and fake and
No problem.
not let your opponent predict what your next move is.
Okay.
But people want to have choreographed fights.
Yes.
It's why, I mean, less so for the choreography and more the emotion behind the scene, but it's why I find the original fights in the original Star Wars hold up far better than the prequels, because the prequels are just flashy, over the top
Let's
choreographed
kill the
nonsense. It's
enemies
almost
of
like a
the
dance,
Empire.
and that's not what a fight is like. A fight is not like a dance.
Come
You can try
on.
and make it like one, but it's not going to be like that. Okay, where is this last bit of research?
Our soldiers are in trouble.
Okay.
Oh, Jordan Bennett, don't do this to me. It's going to be
Come
something
on.
really obvious, isn't it? Bugger.
For the Empire.
Oh, thank God. Please don't be grenades. I've got grenades for days. Oh, yes. Buggy.
Anything more?
Oh, I'm so worried then. I'm so worried. I'm going to be stuck here for hours. 27 minutes, that's not
That's easy.
awful for this map.
Let me blow up some heads. Come on. The party has just begun. Come on.
Okay.
Nice. That's easy.
Our forces are in danger.
For the humans.
Bad touch.
Sounds good.
Alright, 190 Empire points, 360 lab points, research points. All good. All good, and that's gonna make our lives a lot easier. Okay, so we want to avoid these swarms for the time being. So we're gonna be going down to this one. It can throw people off because there's 2,500. It's bigger than the other two. But if you actually click on them, these are all runners. These are all runners. These are all walkers. And that's what makes this one a lot easier. Now let's unlock shocking powers because I want them. I want them. Tesla coils, plasma spheres. Alright, sweet. Got 260 points left over, so let's get the soldiers because they are going to be helpful. And then I think we're probably going to want to rush down to stone transportation. fishermen. It's alright, not necessary. Rangers, alright, not necessary. Or no, that's more sorry, alright but not necessary. Because pretty much that's what you want to do. You want to get the farms, you want to get the shocking towers, and you want to get stone transport. Then you can be a bit more luxurious with your points. But I really feel that those ones are probably even up to iron, so you can pump out soldiers. But those are the not. Yeah, no. Those ones are the necessities. Because I think about those swarm missions later. Where's the one for upgrading the soldiers' defense? I just want to have a look to see reinforced armor. I do like those two buffs. Oh, we don't need to worry about that for the time being. We can, this mission, obviously if I were to go for soldiers, especially if I were to go to the 20% extra damage, will be a cakewalk. But I'm fairly certain I mentioned earlier that you can do the first two Walker Swarm missions with just rangers, so I want to prove that at some point. You've come across one of these, I've almost missed it. You have all the parts you can show tactical missions. So 2105, 9 years after the previous one. No future, planet on the brink of collapse. Humankind is facing an unprecedented crisis that's threatening the survival of our species. The most recent population figure shows our planet is home to some 90 million. So Willie, your species isn't going to be in danger if there's that many. It's like 85 billion died, you've still got the 5 billion left. Typical sensationalist journalism. Governments have claimed that their hands are tied. They've run out of solutions to provide their citizens with access to life's most basic necessities. Food scarcity and energy shortages are a growing and alarming reality for most citizens. What's more is that these issues are profoundly compounding our dwindling healthcare and education systems, the same systems that in recent years has become accessible only to the wealthiest among us. While some leaders are putting radical measures in place, trying to gain control of the situation, most scholars fear that any solution will be too little, too late. So it seems as if the infection was kind of man-made, which is usually the case in I think most zombie ones. I think in Dead Rising, they were trying to mass-produce cattle to have more meat, and that made zombies because, of course, it fucking did. But yeah, I'm coming up for 4 hours, so I'm going to try and do this infected swarm with just the rangers, just to prove that it is doable with a little bit of microing, and a little bit of kiting, and then I'll probably call this stream off, and then I'll decide next stream I want to spend those points on, because I'm torn. I am torn between just going straight for the train upgrades or buffing up my soldiers a bit more. And the next one, which is again just spamming wave, I will just go soldiers, so I won't bother. It'll be a little bit quicker. In the attack missions, the objective is to destroy the swarm of infected that gets in the way of your next mission. To destroy the swarm, you can count on the Imperial Army, but you will only be able to hire a certain amount of troops and defense structures based on your leadership, defined by the amount of Empire points you held. If the officer's post is destroyed or infected during an attack, you will fail the mission. The mission begins when the game paused. With the game paused. Select the officer's post to hire and place the units and defense structures directly on the map. When you no longer have any Empire points left and are satisfied with the deployment of troops, press the start button to begin the attack. Okay, so we have 1,015 points. That's going to give us 105 ladies. So we're going to put just 4 broad groups of about 25 each. Because we don't want to be wasting any time with them not shooting. Then I'm just going to set everyone to go out hunting.
Okay, let's do this.
I'm going to try and make as much of the dent of them as possible. If you have soldiers for this, which admittedly I did, but I'm trying to put the point in. If you have soldiers for this, you can literally just stick them in a box around the command center, and it does the job just fine.
Aren't there other units to bother?
Units under attack.
Okay, so basically you just want to keep them
Keep
shooting, keep pulling them back when they get a little bit too close. We will need to kite a little bit later on.
Oh, here
Our
we go
soldiers
again.
are in trouble.
Oh, more orders.
As you can see, where our groups have gone, we've already pretty much stopped the wave. That's what we want to do, is stop us being overwhelmed. We never want to be having any of our troops not attacking. Speaking of which, let's pull these little ladies back. There's a couple pulling in through there.
This better be good. Yes.
We could just get shooting on that. It's going to be a problem otherwise.
What? Okay.
God, I really shouldn't have risked this by doing this. I should have just gone for fucking soldiers.
This better be good. Great.
Alright, what we're going to do is send a few rangers out to try and get some of the attention and alleviate some of the pressure. Because that pressure is mounting.
What's that? Any infected around?
Our forces are in danger.
Yes. Okay.
Let's try it again, get some of their attention, pull them off a little bit. I just let her die, didn't I? Oh, I'm so bad at this game.
You are gonna pay me for this, right? So tired. Last night was amazing. Yes.
Units under attack.
You again.
Yeah, we're down to 700, so we're doing
Aren't there other
alright.
units to bother? My
It's just-
bow is
Our
Sure
soldiers
they
are in
don't.
trouble.
Oh my
What
god,
do you
I
want
keep...
now?
Oh, I'm so bad at this game. Right, it's fine. They like dying, really.
Roger that.
So don't do what I do. Do as I say, not as I do. Use a ranger to help pull some of them off, get some attention. And then don't fall asleep and forget that they're there. And you can do this mission with just rangers relatively
You are
easy.
gonna pay me for this, right?
But yeah, this is definitely have to call it after this. I'm getting a bit tired and sloppy.
You are gonna pay me for this, right? Great.
But yeah, very, very easy. I mean, I don't know. It will probably be absolutely fine to do this without the 20% damage upgrade for rangers. The next one, I don't know, which is why, well, I've got 20% upgrade, so I can do it fine anyway. But I'll just go for soldiers and make it easier. It might be possible. It probably is possible to do without it. But it's just making it more difficult than you need to be, and it's a bit further on, so might as well have a few better points. But this one is absolutely possible to do just with rangers. So anyone who's complaining, oh, I couldn't even get past the first one because I messed up my tech points, is just talking nonsense. Just haven't tried hard enough. Two rangers lost for 2,500 zombies. That's not a bad trade. Swarm destroyed, another cool 800 points done. Right, so that's cleared out. And next time I think we'll be moving down to the coast of Bones. We'll come back to these two and push forward with them later. But for now, I think that will be all she wrote. So thank you very much for watching through this. Hopefully if you are struggling a bit with the game, you've learned a little bit about what to do. Or at the very least you found my tangent somewhat entertaining. I wish you all the best. Love you all. Bye bye.